Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the WOR YouTube channel. It is round number 2 of season 14 in our PC tier 1 platform. My name is Dan, and I'm being joined by Luke Etheridge. Tonight, the drivers are taking on COTA, Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. It's going to be a great one. Luke, how are you feeling ahead of it?
I'm feeling good. I really enjoyed COTA. It's, a fairly modern circuit in Formula 1 standards. It's taken a lot of inspiration from a lot of great circuits. Silverstone, Hockenheim, Istanbul have all had a bit of a say on this track, and I think it's one that provides really great racing. It's not a driver's favourite, I've got to be honest. Drivers do tend to not enjoy this one so much. It can be a bit of a challenge. You can get bad weather, you can get everything around here. So hopefully we have as entertaining race as we had last time out in Brazil.
Absolutely, Brazil was an incredible race. Of course, on circuit, won by Thomas Ronhaar, but a penalty for speeding in the pit lane gave the victory to Nicolas Longue. However, of course, as we found out last week, Nico is not racing with us today, which means Thomas Ronhaar is going to have surely the best shot at winning today. However, there's going to be a lot of challenges being thrown his way, and I'd say the main one in this is going to be Jake Benham fighting it out. These two, of course, coming up from the Xbox platform onto the PC. They're both they're both well-versed WOR champions, if I'm not mistaken, the pair of them. It is going to be an incredible showing between the pair of them.
Yeah, it should be, like you said, should be an incredible battle between them as well. I think also can't really count out Alvaro Carreton. Did a fantastic job last week slipstreaming Jake Benham towards the line to get himself second place, because for people who weren't here, or for those that have forgotten, we had the sort of chaos last week where the pit lane entry lines in a slightly different place on the retail version than it is on the esports version, which caught out so many of the esports drivers, led to a ridiculous number of penalties, and in the end obviously cost Thomas Ronhaar the win and cost others many great results. So hopefully we don't get any of that tonight. But yeah, I think definitely Jake Benham you can never write off. Thomas Ronhaar, we know how good he is. He was arguably, I don't even think you can say arguably, he was the fastest driver last time, would have won fairly comfortably if it wasn't for that 5-second penalty. Did get pole position, I believe, if my memory serves me right. He did win here last year in quite dominant fashion, so he's gonna be feeling pretty good about himself. And we have got quite a few drivers today making their first appearances of the season. We've got a few people returning that we saw in Tier 1 last year. So yeah, should be a good race and a good chance for a lot of drivers to try and prove themselves ahead of the rest of the season.
Absolutely. At the moment, we have 19 drivers in at the lobby. I'll run through who's racing this evening. In the Mercedes, it is Jake Benham and Will Lewis. Red Bull is Liam Parnell and Harvey Cohen. Ferrari is Drake Dempsey and Valentin Tivard. Then McLaren is Modesto Mena and Berlin Ferrer. Alpine is heated up by Rum Pedreño and Philip Presnader. Then we've got AlphaTauri, Luke Smith, Tom Manley, Aston Martin, Manuel Biancalila, and then a vacancy at the moment. Williams is Alvaro Carreton, of course, and Daniel Kjeldsen. And then Alfa Romeo heated up by Valtteri Bottas and Guan Yu Zhou, Zhou Guan Yu. So we need to get them in eventually. And then in the Haas is Thomas Ronhaar and Mirko Soriano. I know we have 19 drivers in the lobby. I'm just trying to see who's not got in their car. It's Dylan Warren and Duncan Hoffland, which means we're waiting for one Alfa Romeo, and hopefully we can get the show on the road.
Yeah, I think it's Caden Lutt, the final driver we're waiting for in the Alfa Romeo, so hopefully it won't be too long before we are able to get him on the way. And yeah, there's some decent names. We've mentioned those esports drivers that we've got to watch out for. I think outside of that, we know Mirko Soriano is a very fast driver. He's proven that in Challengers and all sorts over the years. He's now going to be part of the new Veloce development squad that they're going to be bringing to League Racing once again, so we know how quick he is. Drake Dempsey's done decent jobs over the years as a reserve and as a former Tier 2 champion. Harvey Cohen. Yeah, there's some very good drivers out there. There's a lot of these that we saw last week, a lot we've seen in Tier 1 before. We know what they can do. And we know there's not really much difference between those at the top of esports and those that are just on the cusp. Things are so close. There's only going to be a couple of seconds in it. And, you know, if those esports drivers aren't on their best and make a slight mistake, you can easily find yourself going out in Q1. And then it's going to be a very long evening for yourself.
So you get a nice little break if you go out in Q1. It's about half an hour almost in between Q1 and the start of the race. So maybe get yourself a cup of tea or something. I know I'd be doing the same. I'm just trying to see in the Discord chat whether or not we're going to get ready to go soon, because I know I'm itching for it. I hope everyone else in the live chat is itching for it. Let us know if you are enjoying the stream so far and who you're supporting this evening. And yeah, at the moment, I'm just seeing stuff about a hamburger and French fries, some soccer. Something's going on in that Discord chat, Luke. I don't understand.
I think they're going very American, which ironically it was the American Drake Dempsey who was living up to all the American stereotypes about hamburgers, French fries, and soccer as well. Although I did find out actually during the World Cup, soccer was an English word, and then we gave it to the Americans, and then we went back to calling it football for whatever reason. We've reached that point of the stream already. We're only 3 minutes past 7 when we're already talking about random origins of words. So yeah, I can confirm to you it will be 7:05 at the very latest that we will be getting underway. Caden Lott is meant to be joining us. He has had a slight injury though, so if he's unable to make it, we should be getting Leroy Brown, who I saw in Tier 2 a couple of seasons ago. Didn't do too many races, but when he raced, he was very quick indeed. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get ourselves underway for this full qualifying session. I think the drivers will be hoping that it's a nice straightforward qualifying session and hopefully a nice straightforward race as well. Hope they'll be not wanting any rain to come into play, which could just make things up a little bit more awkward. I mean, I do love this track. The great thing about it is, I mean, if I just get the track map up very briefly while we're waiting for everyone to join the lobby, if we just get the track map up, it's that long run at the end of Sector 2. So at the end of the DRS straight in towards towards the hairpin at the bottom of the hill, turn number 12. You start a move there, it might be, 16, 17, 18 or 19 by the time you've actually got it finished.
I know, there's so many changes to the circuit. Snakes around, especially in that third sector, can make some great battling where the drivers are exchanging lines. Just looking in the game now, we have got Leroy Brown in the lobby, so we are getting ready to get underway for this evening. Full 20 drivers, 28 laps this race will be, but of course we've got to get through the full qualifying format: Q1, Q2 and then Q3. The bottom 5 will be eliminated from this 18-minute qualifying one session, and then the top 15 will advance. Then the bottom 5 in that session will get knocked out, and then the Q3 will be the top 10 shootout for pole position. Is there any calls already, Luke, in the live chat or from you, and who you think is going to be sitting on pole position this evening?
I mean, there seems to be a lot of support for Mr. Jake Benham in the chat, which I don't think is too surprising. He's not going to be far off pole position. You can never write out Thomas Ronhar with what his qualifying form has been at the moment. I mean, I don't know if it's really too much of a surprise, but last time out, Alvaro Cavaton certainly impressed me. So I think they're probably going to be the 3 drivers to watch, I think, tonight. Ronhar, Cavaton or Benham. I'll be surprised if it's not one of them on pole position, but hey, league racing is full of surprises. I mean, just seen the name Valentin Taivard. Anyone who's not familiar with him, his racing's not the best, but he's an extremely quick qualifier. Mr. Saturday, I suppose you could call him. Wouldn't surprise me whatsoever if he gets through to Q3 and even pulls a surprise and gets it on the first couple of rows of the grid.
Absolutely, there's a lot of questions up in the air at the moment. We're just waiting for Tom Manley to load in. Seen a question from Isaac George asking if Otis is racing today. Unfortunately, he is, I believe, ill, so he's not going to be racing this evening, and he's also still getting used to his PC, if I'm not mistaken. So no, we're not going to be seeing Otis Lawrence, but surely the young up-and-coming Veloce Elite star, he's got to make his debut in WOR soon enough. So just look out for him. I'd imagine he will be here in a few weeks. And I think Tom Manley at the moment, Luke, he's having some PC problems.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's one of those things. Hopefully he'll be able to get in sooner rather than later. Otherwise, we might have a bit further of a delay. I don't know if anyone can get in touch with him and just tell him to, Control Alt Delete it, Alt F4, turn it off and on again. There we go. Tom Manley has left the session. So hopefully Yeah, he was listening to us. Hopefully now we will be able to get things underway for 80
Wow.
minutes of qualifying. And I think you just, you can tell by Dan's voice there from what his little we said the drivers were hoping for something, you know, nice and straightforward. It's it's wet. I mean, that's yeah. Very wet.
I think wet is one way to describe it. Wow, that is certainly wet. It's absolutely tipping it down in Austin, Texas, normally known for its extremely high heats. But I'd imagine today, I guess Mother Nature was feeling a little bit. 18 minutes in this wet qualifying session, you can already see Will Lewis, he doesn't want any part of it. He's retired in at the pit lane here. So that means at the moment we've only got 18 runners in this qualifying at the moment. So yeah, of course, Tom Manley not in the session. I see Drake Dempsey has decided to fit the intermediates. I wonder if he's going to go out on this set. He's going to try and risk it on the green wall tire, but just by looking at the at the water in the pit lane, looking like it's probably going to be the wet tires here.
Yeah, I mean, the difference between the intermediates and wets is nowhere near as bad as the difference between the slick tyres and a set of the intermediates. Obviously, the wets are, on the game, they're a slightly more useful tyre than they are in real life, where, you know, they might as well not bother taking them. And in fact, yeah, Drake Dempsey has gone out on that set of the intermediate tyres. Maybe we're at a sort of crossover point. I mean, I've had it around this circuit before where it said the intermediates are 2.5, 3 seconds slower, but that is dropping. By the time you get onto your fast lap, as long as you've survived your out lap, which, you know, is easier said than done in conditions like this, as long as you survive that out lap, intermediates might actually be the better tyre. It wouldn't surprise me if they end up being quicker, but the wets just feel a little bit safer, especially if you end up straying offline at any point. But I just saw Drake Dempsey there sliding his way through the first sector of the lap here. This is not looking like the best idea. We've had Thomas Ronhar retire in the pit lane as well, so might well be at the point where as long as you keep it facing in the right direction, you'll get through to Q2.
Yeah, and it's going to be a great opportunity for some of the drivers that we typically see down the lower end of the grid to start a little bit higher up in this order. Of course, it is a very different grid to what we are normally used to seeing. I mean, there's a lot of young up-and-coming talent. There's a lot of Tier 2 drivers as well from last season that have made the step up into Tier 1 this season. Just by judging Drake Dempsey's lap at the moment, it's looking a little bit shaky on his out lap at this point, but down this straight, we'll see what his braking's like in towards turn number 12. And even in these extremely wet conditions, these drivers refuse to go beneath third gear. Third, straight up into fourth, and then, yeah, they really like to keep the traction down. It seems like Drake Dempsey, Luke, he's just looking that little bit uneasy on this lap so far, and there it is. Pretty big lock up, and he's gone off the circuit.
Yeah, unsurprising, you know, that's a difficult part of the circuit anyway, of course. No assists for all of these drivers. That is how all the top-tier drivers do things, of course, and most that you'll see in some of the lower PC tiers as well. That part of the circuit, a lot of braking and turning at the same time. It's difficult enough in the dry to do it without locking up. In these wet conditions, as Drake Dempsey nearly drifts his way towards the pit lane there, coming through turn 19. Drake Dempsey is going to go out, though, on a lap of the intermediate tyre. So let's have a look and see what he can do as he heads towards turn 1.
Yeah, if you thought Drake Dempsey was a little bit ballsy for going for the intermediate tyres at this point, Philip Presnader's come out on his out lap. He's strapped on a set of the soft compound of tyres. I don't know if he's seeing the rain on his screen or something, but it's a very interesting gamble to go for, I'd say. And he's managing it quite well, almost sliding off the circuit. We'll see how Drake Dempsey does in this twisty S's section, and you can see, yeah, he's not having a good time at all on this lap. Really having to be so easy on the loud pedal at every point because he knows that he's going to be spinning if he just gets a little bit too throttle happy. But trying to go flat out through this downhill section in towards turn number 11 now. Let's see what he can do as he heads down this straight. Of course, there's going to be no DRS in these wet conditions, so it's all going to be about that raw engine power. But for the time being, Luke, it's looking quite shaky, and I think other drivers at the moment, Harvey Cohen, he's come out on a set of the wets. However, Daniel Kjeldsen and Modesto Mena, they both opted for the intermediate tyres as well. So maybe we are in that crossover period.
Yeah, I mean, if you look on the circuit, we're on board here with Drake Dempsey as he's sliding his way towards the end of Sector 2. There's not a lot of standing water out there, so that suggests that the intermediate tyres possibly are the ones to be on at the moment, as Drake just making his way through this very twisty, slow part of the circuit as he makes his way through turn number 15, get the car straightened up, 16, 17 and 18, a lot faster than this in dry conditions. Drake having to really be careful here, modulate the throttle, make sure he doesn't do anything silly. Now in towards turn number 19, when they had IndyCar here, you saw drivers going way off the circuit there. Do that here, you'll get yourselves in big, big trouble. In towards the final corner, Drake Dempsey towards the finish line. It's going to be a 157.7. That is not a representative lap time whatsoever. And I'm just looking at Harvey Cohen here. Already, looks like he's got so much more confidence on those blue walled wet tyres. Those are the ones to go for.
Yeah, absolutely. The wet tyres seem to be the tyres to be on at the moment. And we're watching the Red Bull driver at this point. And just coming through turn number 10, he looked a lot more confident than Drake Dempsey did. Headed down in towards this heavy braking turn at 12. Picking up the tyres quite heavily there. And I think, yeah, I've had a little bit of a lag spike at that point. But yeah, he just looked a lot more confident. He's able to get on the throttle earlier and go harder than Drake Dempsey was able to do. So it seems like Harvey Cohen, he's got the knack for this at the moment. I think everyone else also sees Anthony Tivard, Liam Parnell, they have all opted for a set of the wet compound of tyre. As Harvey Cohen, he cannot dare to go full throttle into that triple right-hander. We'll see what he can do as he comes through turn number 20. Of course, the final corner on this circuit, getting onto the pedal as quick as he can to cross the line. 1 minute 49.664, and that is a lot more like it, Luke.
Yeah, certainly. Props to Philip Presnader for just keeping it vaguely pointed in the right direction at the moment on those soft tyres, because he's going to be aquaplaning all over the place. Alpine resembling more of a boat at the moment than a Formula 1 car. I mean, you can see he's going to be about 2 minute 10, 2 minute 15 possibly by the time he gets towards the end of this lap. Yeah, that's a message for everyone. That lap time from Harvey Cohen. It is wet weather out there, so Daniel Kielsen, Modesto Maynard, he's still showing us in the pits on a set of the intermediate tyres. Wouldn't be surprised if later on in the session we might see the drivers on the inters, but it doesn't look like this rain is going to be stopping anytime soon. Possibly by the time we get towards the end of Q2 and Q3, we might see the drivers being able to go out on a fresh set of dry tyres. And then we'll get a really interesting session. But yeah, for now, it's just keeping it pointing in the right direction. You'll probably see drivers pulling off multiple laps and seeing what they can do around here. Daniel Kjeldsen just following an Alpine around at the moment. So I think that's Ruben Pedreño on an outlap, just slightly getting in the way. But I don't think in the grand scheme of things, that's going to matter too much. And you can see and you can hear on board with the Williams reserve driver tonight just how much more hesitant he's having to be with every little input into the car.
Yeah, he's really just having to be so gentle on this. And look at that, he's pretty much drifting at 100 miles per hour through the triple right-hander. So, yeah, Daniel Kjeldsen is not going to be a world beater of a lap regardless of the fact that he had Ruben Pedreño in front of them. See how he can do in regards to Drake Dempsey. But it's not looking good at the moment. So, and he's gone off the circuit at the final corner. I think he's possibly letting the Ferrari go through. That was Valentin Tivard, about 2 seconds slower, one and a half seconds slower than Harvey Cohen. So it seems like the Red Bull man has really got the pace today. Valentin Tivard, he did his best, 151.105. We'll see how that stacks up in comparison to everyone else's now. Qualifying is well and truly underway. Most drivers out on circuit at the moment, one of them being Tom Manley, a multiple-time podium sitter last week. He did not have a good showing last time out in Brazil, and I hope today could be better for him.
Yeah, he was one of the sort of non-esports stars of last season, so he'll be hoping for a much better race. I mean, another non-esports star, highest to finisher in the championship, who didn't take part in esports, was Ruben Pedreño, and he's had a spin coming through the first sector. I think we've had another car go off as well at the start of Sector 2. They are really struggling at the moment. Normally we get a bit of a lull period in qualifying. I don't think we're going to at the moment. You're going to have to stay out on the track just in case the track conditions improve, which is why we're seeing Harvey Cohen set multiple laps out there. Imagine Valentin Tivard is going to see the same. What's Tom Manley going to do as he comes across the finish line, goes into second place, 149.930. You don't want to be caught out by being in the pit lane once the track conditions are at their best. So this track's going to get pretty busy and probably remain pretty busy for the entire session.
Absolutely, and normally when it comes to the intermediates and the wet tyres, I think 1 or 2 laps wear is a little bit quicker actually than a completely fresh set. So it is better to just put a little bit of tread into those tyres and wear it off ever so slightly as you go about your lap. At the moment, we've got most drivers out on track. The only drivers in the pit lane are Philip Presnader, Duncan Hoffland, Mamo Biancalila. So it's constant action at this point in time as in towards. I'm trying to see who is nearing the end of their laps. I think Bulem Faraluk is close to the end. He's appeared purple in Sector 2, and there's Luke Smith going to the very top of the order. He is the new quickest driver at the moment. It's AlphaTauri, Red Bull, AlphaTauri, your top 4.
Yeah, they're loving life at the moment, aren't they, the Red Bull teams? Yeah, Buell and Feather, he's just heading towards the end of his lap. Leroy Brown had a spin in Sector 1 at the start of his, so not going to see any fantastic lap times from him. But what can the McLaren driver do? What can Feather do as he comes around the final corner? Looks like he's going to slot in just behind that AlphaTauri Red Bull quad at the moment, and does so. 5th place, 150.529. So those towards the top really got that car working well at the moment. Jake Benham on an outlap. For now, he's just coming towards the end of his lap. Mirko Suriano, he's in the middle sector, 112.6 as he comes through there. We're not seeing masses of improvements at the moment, so I think we know the track's not really getting any better from what it was earlier on. I'm expecting full wets until, all the way until the end of Q1 and possibly partway into Q2 as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if the rain is getting a little bit lighter at this point. Running on board with the drivers, there's a lot on the T-cam, so possibly towards Q3 I think is when it's going to start to dry up, but we'll have to wait and see as I'm just trying to see who is on their laps at the moment. Mirko Suriano coming through now, the final corner. He's going to go ahead of Tom Manley at 1 minute 49.916. A lot of drivers really liking that 1 minute 49.9 at this point. Who else on a run? Alvaro Caraton's just started his lap. Jake Benham is a little bit ahead though in that second. He's just begun actually the second sector, so we'll have to wait and see how the all-star himself can do. And of course, we know he's a very skilled wet driver. Of course, in Brazil last season, where he was able to control most of the race before unfortunately being taken out in an accident. We know that he has got the wet ability, and I would put my money on possibly him topping this session.
Yeah, definitely. I think also Miami last season, he had a fantastic battle with, Jarno Opmeer, his teammate for last season and his teammate in esports, and also Lucas Blakely before Lucas came out on top in that one. So we know Jake's got the talent, in all conditions. Drivers are good in general, tend to be good in the wet. There's not many Formula 1 world champions, there's not many drivers towards the top of esports that aren't able to call things right in these wet conditions. So we'll see what Jake Benham can do. We'll see if he can get into the 48. Obviously, doesn't matter if you're 1st or 15th in this session. The main objective is just to get through. So drivers probably not going to be wanting to push too hard, as I think yellow flag there for Mirko Suriano, just letting a few cars out of the way. And let's see what happens. Mr. Benham comes around the final corner. Is he going to go fastest of everyone? No, slots it into 3rd place for now, just behind Drake Dempsey, who's got himself up in towards that second. So we've seen a few improvements. Tom Manley, 3rd lap on the tyres, does a 149.487 and makes it an AlphaTauri 1-2. With 4.5 minutes to go, Cavaton's just put himself up into 4th place. We know Will Lewis and Thomas Ronhard will be heading out of the session. At the moment, it looks like it will be Duncan Hoffland, Dylan Warren and Manuel Biancalila joining them.
Yeah, Duncan Hoffland, unfortunately invalid on his lap at the moment. Dylan Warren is on a push lap at this moment in time. He's in the 3rd sector, but if he doesn't get this lap down, the pressure is going to be well and truly applied towards him. He could put Philip Presnader in the drop zone at the moment, but with a 2 minute 4.6, that is not a representative lap time of Philip's pace. We'll see what Dylan Warren can do as he heads in towards the final few corners, having to snatch the car through there as Luke Smith goes ahead of Rim Pedreño. The first 1 minute 48 we've seen this evening. Luke Smith having a great time in these wet weather conditions. Dylan Warren, he nestled himself in towards P10, and that is going to put him ahead of Burlem Farah. Philip Presnader now in that drop zone, but he has just begun a lap here.
Yeah, first lap that we're seeing on the wet tyres as well. And also, we haven't seen what Daniel Kjeldsen can do on a set of the wet tyres. So big improvements you'd be expecting from both of those two. As the lap goes on, Daniel Kjeldsen, he's already 2.5 seconds up on his previous best as he comes through the first sector. So you'd be expecting him to at least shove himself a long way up the order. Bit of a late call-up, but he has invalidated his lap time, so that is not going to help him in any way, shape or form. Duncan Hoffland, a man who struggled sometimes with qualifying in various leagues. We'll see what he can do in these wet conditions. You've got to argue with the way the times are going. The track is improving slightly. Luke Smith becoming first man to get into the 48. Harvey Cohen doing a 149.1 on 5-lap-old wet tyres. Very good job from him. We'll wait and see what the others can do, but it's Hoffland and Bianca Lila who've got all the work to do. They're yet to set any lap time. They've not really got enough time to hang about too much. They'll only be able to get, this lap in, maybe a cool-down lap, and then one final push lap before qualifying is over.
Yeah, Duncan Hoffland, he looks like he is going to be getting this one over and done with and in towards the final corner number 20. We'll see what he can do as he gets on the loud pedal. He's going to cross the line and go into P9. I'd say that is solid enough from him. He's ahead. He's put Daniel Kjelton in that drop zone. Manuel Biancalila's just crossed the line, but a 1 minute 51.4, not good enough to get himself out of that bottom 5. He does have at least one more attempt in this session. Philip Presnader invalid. Daniel Kjelton on a push lap at the moment with just over 2 minutes left to go. Valentin Tivad is coming out onto the circuit. He's on an outlap currently. Leroy Brown is in a 14th position in that second sector. A lot of drivers very close together who we could see eliminated from this session, especially in the wet. You can gain a lot of time. If you've made a mistake on your previous best, then you can gain a huge amount of time. So there really could be anyone being eliminated today. I wouldn't feel safe if I was in any position. Maybe I think the top 5 are all pretty safe. Even Drake Dempsey, I'd go as far as to say. Liam Parnell feels confident. He's decided to retire it in 10th position. So we'll see how that works out for him. But Luke, 1 minute left to go in this session. The bottom 5, Bianca Lila, Kjelton, Presnader, Will Lewis, and Thomas at Ronhar.
Yeah, we know Lewis and Ronhar are going. It's just who's going to join them at the moment. Leroy Brown about a quarter of a second up, which will move him ahead of the two McLarens, possibly just behind his teammate for tonight, Dylan Warren, but he'd be wanting a little bit more than that, and it's whether he's got enough ERS in the tank to really get another push lap in. If not, this is going to be it for Leroy Brown. Again, with a bit of a last-minute reserve, heads towards the finish line, gets himself up to 10th place. So we are starting to see, a few more improvements toward the end of laps. Again, Daniel Kjelton has invalidated, and that lap would not have been good enough to get him through anyway. I think he backed off, understandably. So he's leaving it right until the very end. Philip Presnader has gone fastest of anyone in the middle sector. So it looks like this lap's going to be good enough to get Presnader up out of the drop zone, and he needs it to be because it is going to be his final run. We've got a few cars coming towards the end of their lap now. Modesto Mena comes across the line, stays in 14th. He should be able to get another run started. Dylan Warren towards the finish line. Checkered flag is out in the session. What can Dylan Warren do? He moves himself up into 11th place. Philip Presnader now, he comes towards the line and gets himself only up to 13th in the end.
Yeah, that's not looking very safe for Presnader there. He's been able to put Valentin Tivad in that drop zone. We know that the man in the Ferrari, the reserve driver this evening, he is a very fast qualifier. At the moment, though, he is down 1.3 seconds, and it looks like his day is going to be done. Manuel Biancalila currently on a push lap. He is ahead of Daniel Kjelton. Oh, sorry, he's behind. It's behind on circuit of Daniel Kjelton, who has yet to put in this lap. The Williams reserve this evening. He really needs it. He's up at the moment by 6.2 seconds, and with a 1 minute 12 in that second sector, I do believe that this is going to be good enough to see himself quite a ways up the order, maybe into around about that 11th position as Valentin Tivad, he decides to peel off into the pit lane. His day is going to be done. Jake Benham coming into the pits now. Leroy Brown is invalidated on another lap. We've got this is Boulem Ferrer in towards the pits, only 14th for the Algerian this evening. Could potentially see him out if his teammate is able to improve. However, he has invalidated, which leaves Kjelton to the line with a 1 minute 49.1. That puts Modesto Mena out of this qualifying session. Will he be what Biancalila decides that he comes across the line? Is it going to be Biancalila in towards the top 15? Indeed it is. Philip Presnader lives to fight another day. Boulem Ferrer eliminated from qualifying along with Modesto Mena, Valentin Tivad, Will Lewis and Thomas Ronhar.
Yeah, and Liam Parnell, we were wondering had he retired from the session a bit too early. Possibly if others have invalidated their lap times, he might have been in a bit of trouble, but that doesn't matter in the end. Liam Parnell is safely through. Both McLarens out in that session earlier on. Will Lewis and Thomas Ronhard joining them after deciding to retire. And Valentin Tavard, who I know I said, wouldn't surprise me if he got himself through to Q3, so maybe a bit of a commentator's curse there, but I feel his driving style and the way he sets up his car, perhaps not surprising that he struggles a bit in the wet conditions.
Absolutely. So there it is. Luke Smith, fastest in Q1, the only driver on a 1:48 so far. Jake Benham in second. Third is Kjeldsen, the bottom 5 though, and eliminated from qualifying. Burlem, Ferrer, Modesto Mena, Valentin Tavard, Will Lewis, and Thomas Ronhar, bottom 2 we didn't even see out on circuit. That brings us towards the end of Q1. Q2 already, Luke, is on the horizon. But would you say there's any big surprises that we've lost in this session so far?
I mean, obviously Thomas Ronhard, but that's a decision he's made himself. I think, likewise with Will Lewis, everyone else, nothing really massively surprising because we get this in wet weather. You get these random grid orders. Daniel Kjeldsen getting himself up into third on his final run was very impressive indeed, because it would have been tempting just to drive a bit within yourself, save a bit to make sure that you get a clean run in. In the end, though, that third place, I think he'll be very happy with that. Looks like Tom Manley's back towards his best form, and Luke Smith doing a fantastic run. We are on our way back in towards Q2, and the weather, it's not looking like it's improved whatsoever since the end of Q1.
Well, the rain looks a little bit lighter than it did at the beginning of Q1, so maybe it's a little bit of consolation for the drivers, but I do believe we are going to be seeing this wet weather for the remaining parts of this session. First up out on circuit is Philip Presnader, and he has decided to actually strap on a set of the wet compound of tyres, and I think everyone else is going to be following suit. Some drivers did opt at the beginning of Q1 try and see the intermediates if they were in a good working condition. That didn't seem to be the case. They were able to get through into the next session. Of course, most notably it was Drake Dempsey and Daniel Kjeldsen, if I'm not mistaken, and they have both been able to survive. Will they be able to survive in Q2? We'll have to wait and see. 15 minutes, 15 drivers, Luke. The top 10 making it in the shootout for pole, and I wonder who is going to be topping this one here.
I think, again, those Alpha Tauris both look very good indeed. Harvey Cowan did a fantastic job, as did Daniel Kjeldsen, despite being put in a bit last minute. It's pretty much anyone's game. We don't know what the weather's going to do. It is still, bucketing it down out there. I think it was 2015, I seem to remember, qualifying getting cancelled at COTA, and then the race was a bit wet as well, the year where Nico Rosberg launched his cap towards Lewis Hamilton as a bit of a thank you to Lewis for winning the title. But yeah, it's pretty damn atrocious out there, which means predicting what anyone is going to do is very difficult. We're a good couple of seconds off being anywhere near intermediate tyres, so we'll see if we've got any sort of improvements on this lap. Luke Smith was the only driver to get in towards the 1:48. I think you're going to be needing, again, good 2 or 3 seconds less than that before drivers start to even consider a set of the intermediate tyres. We saw how tricky it was for Dempsey and Kjeldsen earlier on when they went for it. Fair play to everyone, though. We've had a few minor spins. I mean, obviously, got a lot of top-quality drivers here, but no one's really had any major incidents. There's not been front wings flying off anywhere. I'm aware, by saying that now, I could be making myself look like a massive idiot.
Yeah, I mean, come race time, if the weather conditions are the same and they're all piling in towards that turn number 1, it's such a wide corner. You could sometimes see like 4 or 5 wide action. Who knows what's going to be happening if we see stuff like that. But for the time being, you are right. These guys have been very consistent. They've been able to keep it on circuit, especially Philip Presnader when he decided to go out on a set of the soft compound of tyre. He was able to keep it on track pretty much the entire time. I didn't see any yellow flags and then an Alpine icon on the track map in the bottom right. Didn't see that at any point, so fair play to him. He's a man of such precision, I'd say, Philip Presnader. He's not always the most flashy driver out there, but he is very, very consistent, I would say, and I think that is going to pay dividends in wet weather conditions where he can consistently go around the circuit at a steady pace, not make too many mistakes, and then get himself high up the order. He only just about survived in the previous session. We'll see how he does this evening as he's on a 1:12.901 in the first 2 sectors, and Luke, that's not looking like a very good time for him.
No, it's pretty consistent to what we saw earlier on as well, so possibly with a few minutes in game of the cars not going around. It's just allowed the track to get that tiny bit wetter, so we might need some more time to get ourselves back into the 148s, 149s, but we'll see what Predator can do as he goes towards the end of this lap. Everyone but Liam Parnell has gone out there as the moment, as Predator really sliding the rear of that Alpine around the penultimate corner. We'll see what this is going to be towards the finish line. Looks like it'll be a 1 minute 50.208 for Predator. Track conditions still looking quite bad. Tom Manley a bit down on his previous best earlier on as well at this moment in time. So not seeing as Daniel Kjeldsen, he has found time. 149.277, very competitive to what he was doing in Q1. Tells us track conditions pretty much identical.
Yeah, absolutely. Daniel Kjeldsen, we know he can do that. He can have pace to put himself at the top of the order if he doesn't invalidate it, and he has seemingly done that so far. So well done to Daniel Kjeldsen for being able to get up the order as there's yellow flags in the first sector. Streak Dempsey going slow, I believe. I wonder if he's had an incident on circuit or he's just getting out of the way of everybody else. I think he invalidated his first lap. He's not got a time on the board despite having 1 lap old wet tyres. So we're just letting everyone go on by a little bit of early struggles for him at this point. But at this moment in time, it's Daniel Kjeldsen, Duncan Hoffland, Dylan Warren. There's 3 Ds in the top 3 at this point in time. Leroy Brown 4th. 5th is Bianca Lila, and I think he'd be very pleased about that one because Bianca Lila, no disrespect to him, we do see him eliminated in Q1 quite often in WOR, but he has been able to get himself out of that bottom 5 very nicely. And Jake Benham goes to the top of the order, 1 minute 49.185. No one at the moment, Luke, is able to crack that 1 minute 48.
Yeah, we'll see if the man who cracked it last time can manage to do so here. Luke Smith coming around turns number 16, 17 and 18. 6 gear, just trying to keep some traction, trying to keep some grip in the car, not putting too much torque down in these wet conditions. Around the penultimate corner in towards turn number 20. We've seen the odd driver go for overtakes into this corner, and it's a very risky one to do so. But towards the line, Luke Smith, this is going to be a 148.921. So Luke Smith again doing a fantastic job. Whether he set the car up more for the wet conditions or not, we don't know. We don't know what the weather's going to be like in the race, but once you've made your setup choice, barring differential, front wings and tyre pressures, there's not a lot you can change. So Luke Smith, fastest of everyone at the moment. A few drivers invalidated on that lap. I think they're realising now they're just going to have to push that tiny bit harder to ensure they get through towards the top 10.
Absolutely. At the moment, Luke Smith hasn't had too much competition in this qualifying session. However, Alvaro Carreton looking quite nice at this point in time. He's about a tenth slower than what. And if he finds time in Sector 3, we could see Alvaro Carreton shooting himself up to the top of the order as he comes through turns 16, 17 and 18. It's going to switch over to the left-hand side and towards 19. The final corner coming up now, turn number 20, where you can easily actually get on the power a bit too early here, then spin the car around. I've done that a few times myself around this track, as there is Alvaro Carreton to the line. He's about 400 slower, I think. He's a little bit slower than Luke Smith, and Jake Benham going to go just 200. So very tight margins at the moment here.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of drivers improving on their second laps. Mirko Soriano's took it a bit more steady on his second. Done a cool down lap. Make sure he's not taking him too much out of the tyres. Given the ERS battery a chance to recharge, and he'll be going for things once again. The Italian currently in 6th position for now. We're seeing more consistent times towards the top ends of that 149 now. Track evolution won't really be playing too much of a part in terms of what we normally think, in terms of the rubber coming down, because normally, and you don't see it too much on the F1 game, but normally you try to stay off where the rubber is in the wet conditions, because it basically turns the track into a bit of an ice rink. So drivers having to adapt their line slightly. You'll see them take a bit more of a wider line into the corner so you can straighten the car up and get on the throttle earlier on in these conditions as well. Whatever they're doing, Luke Smith is doing a fantastic job at the moment. 148.921. He's really enjoying himself out there.
Absolutely.
Liam Parnell on a slightly different strategy to everyone else. 29.1 in Sector 1, which is a bit faster than what Predator did, but I don't think that's going to be a lap time that challenges those towards the top.
Yeah, we'll see what he can do as he's headed down this back straight here. A lot of the overtakes in the race we are going to see in towards this turn number 12. Of course, down the straight was where Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso had their collision, and Alonso was sent up into the air, and he was able to come back, I think, to finish at P7. Are we going to see any more champions drives like that this evening? We'll have to wait and find out. At the moment, a 1 minute 12.3 for Liam Parnell. He's going to be around about where Mirko Soriano, Tom Manley is at this point in time, unless he can find time in this final sector. But if he goes at this steady pace, we will see him in and around that top 10, but that could be a danger zone later on. And there's a Mercedes spun off to the inside of turn number 18 there. I just caught that. That was Jake Benham going around. Of course, his teammate Will Lewis we didn't even see out in qualifying. Here comes Liam Parnell now up towards the line. He's going to go into P11. That is the drop zone for the Red Bull driver, so it's not looking good for the pair of them, actually. Of course, Harvey Cohen only, 5,000, sorry, quicker than his teammate. The pair of them could be sent out of this qualifying session, especially with Drake Dempsey in that he's just begun his lap. There's Luke Smith going across the line once again. He is flying in this AlphaTauri. 1 minute 48.722 for him. He's loving life at the moment.
I would say he's really thriving in these wet conditions. Fastest time we've seen in either of the sessions so far, with 4 minutes 44 seconds remaining. Tom Manley, his teammate, has invalidated, so he's going to drag things back towards the pit lane. You've not got too many sets of wet tyres, so this is why we're seeing drivers as well stay out there for that tiny bit longer, as Manuel Biancalila puts himself onto a 149.3 in towards 7th place. It is pretty close out there at the moment. Given the wet conditions, you normally see the bigger gaps, but we've got 4 cars of Benham, Shelson, Cavaton and Hoffland on a 149.0 at the moment. Ruben Pedreño not too far back either. You're going to be feeling pretty nervous, especially if you're Dylan Warren. He's only safe by 0.06 of a second at the moment, so a lot could change for his position as the session goes on. Philip Presleder, he's invalidated his next lap, so he's going to be staying down in 14th place. Drake Dempsey, 112.2, coming through the middle sector, so this lap might be good enough for now to get him through into the top 10. I wouldn't be feeling too confident, though, if I was him, of staying there.
Yeah, absolutely. Still a lot of drivers out on circuit. A few of them, though, in the pit lane. Jake Benham, Daniel Kjeldsen, and Duncan Hoffland, the three of them in that pit lane at the moment with just 3 minutes and a half to go. As I say, that Duncan Hoffland's actually coming out onto the circuit. Alvaro Carreton has just pulled into the pit lane. I wonder, Luke, if that is going to be the last we're going to be seeing of the Spaniard. I'd imagine Luke Smith as well is going to be coming back into the pits. So it seems like the drivers at the very top of the order are at least coming into the box now, and I'd imagine a few of them are going to be staying there. That's going to give free reign in the circuit to a lot of these guys with just 3 minutes left to go. I'm trying to find who is on a lap at the moment. There's a Red Bull of Harvey Cohen. He's invalid, unfortunately. Manuel Biancalila also invalidated on his lap time. That leaves Mirko Soriano. Once again, Luke is invalid. Leroy Brown's on an out lap. So a lot of drivers struggling in these conditions at this point. That leaves Philip Presleder also invalid on his lap. Ruben Pedreño, Luke, is the furthest one up on a lap at the moment.
Yeah, we'll see what Pedreño can do. He's 2 tenths up coming through the first sector. Good news for him. Drake Dempsey was fastest of everyone in the final sector, so whether we are finally starting to see some improvements in the track conditions, I'm not so sure, because to my eye it looks pretty much identical to what it did nearly half an hour ago, way back up, well, over half an hour ago, at the start of Q1 as Ruben Pedreño makes his way in towards Sector 2. We'll see what the time is at this split. 111.866 is very handy indeed. That is comparable to what we've been seeing Luke Smith do. So this could be the first man other than Luke Smith to get into that 148. Is this the track starting to improve? Luke Smith's hoping it doesn't. He's retired from the session. Manuel Biancalila has also retired from the session in the pits. I can't imagine he's going to be feeling too comfortable on that 149.319. That's a bit of a gamble from the Aston Martin esports driver, but we'll see what one of the many future, I'm sure, esports drivers that we've got here in WOR can do. Ruben Pedreño around the final corner, a bit wobbly on the curb there, but still good enough to put him into second. 148.963. He should be safe on that as Liam Parnell puts himself into third. This track's getting better.
Definitely in this session so far, but he's found himself going ahead of Jake Benham, who was right at the top of the order for the entirety of this session and, of course, the entirety of last session. So it seems like, Luke, the track is indeed getting better. Harvey Cohen is about to come towards the line. He's 5/10 up on his lap. That is enough to put him 1 second clear of his previous best attempt, and he is at the top of the order, 1 minute 48.588. And when we were singing praises towards Luke Smith, now he could be in a spot of bother with just a minute left to go. Everyone is coming out onto the track. Jake Benham and Alvaro Carreton, they're about to end their outlaps. Mirko Soriano goes to the top of the order. We've got one of the Alfa Romeos, that's Leroy Brown, in the final sector, up by 7/10 of a second. So Luke Smith, I think, might be out of this session as Leroy Brown only 5th fastest. I think there's going to be a lot of improvements from... He might be struggling at this point, but Luke, it has been completely turned on its head.
Yeah, it has. We're now seeing the drivers, whether it's getting a bit more confidence, whether it is the track drying out, whatever it is, we're seeing so many more times in the high 148s, even mid 148s from Cohen and Soriano. Philip Presnader in the final corner. He's only just been sneaking through at the moment, 14th place. It is not going to be good enough. He's got enough fuel and ERS to get another lap done, but I think that is going to be it for him. Jake Benham, he's not managed to make the finish line, so Jake Benham's not managed to get around in time. Harvey Cohen is going even faster still on his lap. Liam Parnell has invalidated. Will he be in any trouble in this session? Tom Manley coming round the final few corners. He needs to improve, otherwise he's heading home. What can Manley do as he heads towards the finish line in the Alpha Tauri? Puts it fastest of everyone.
There it is. I think the tides are really changing in this qualifying session. Drake Dempsey goes into P6. That might not be good enough for him. He's got a few drivers in behind at this point in time. But Duncan Hoffman's just crossed the line to go into 5th. We've got Harvey Cohen coming up towards the line now. He can go even quicker ahead of Tom Manley at 1 minute 48.2 is the new quickest time in this session. Dylan Warren comes to the line. He was only able to improve by 1/100th of a second, and he is out of qualifying. Got one of the Alpines coming up towards the line now, I believe. That's Ruben Pedroño actually in the pit lane. Leroy Brown, that means, will be the next one up to cross the line. 1/10 of a second. However, he is inside that top 10. If he's found time in this final sector, I'd imagine we are going to be seeing the Alfa Romeo, the last minute reserve, make his way into Q3 as he comes out of the final corner. Now, what can he do as he comes towards the line? It's P6 for Leroy Brown. Mirko Soriano peeling off into the pit lane. That will leave Daniel Kjelsen and Alvaro Carreton, both of them in the drop zone at the moment. Not for much longer, says Daniel Kjelsen. He goes up into P5, puts Jake Benham out of qualifying. Another final nail in the coffin for Alvaro Carreton as he hammers it in towards P3. Liam Parnell eliminated from this qualifying session. Philip Presnader was the last one on a lap, but he comes back into the pit and he is out. And I'd say, Luke, losing Jake Benham in this session, that's got to be the big story here.
Yeah, it is, and, you know, didn't see what happened with all the traffic and everything, but it looked like he was nowhere near the end of that outlap by the time the checkered flag came out, so maybe just a little bit of a misjudgment there from the All-Star. Harvey Cohen comfortably through in the end. Tom Manley, Alvaro Carreton, Soriano, Smith, Shelton, Hoffland, Brown, Pedroño and Drake Dempsey. They're the 10 cars making it through. Liam Parnell, I mean, he was 3rd with about half a minute to go in that session. Ends up down in 11th. That is how close things were, and that is how much quicker the track got at the end. Absolutely.
So Harvey Cohen was able to take advantage of that. He tops this session. Tom Alvaro Carreton, P4 for Soriano. P5 is Luke Smith. Your bottom 5, Liam Parnell, Jake Benham, Manuel Biancalila, Philip Presnader, and Dylan Warren. That leaves us with the 10 drivers that'll be fighting it out for pole position, I'd imagine, Luke, on a very, very wet COTA circuit.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, like I said, it is still full wet tyres, I'd imagine, but with the improvements we were seeing towards the end, is anyone going to be brave? Is anyone going to try and go for a set of the intermediate tyres? Maybe if you're a bit further down the order. I wouldn't go intermediates for your first run on tyres, just in case you end up binning it in the wall. You could end up looking very silly indeed. But yeah, there's rain still absolutely bucketing it down around here, as you would expect it. Unsurprisingly, that we're not getting any changes with that. And unsurprisingly, everyone looking like they're going for a set of the wet tyres. I mean, could we see cars here fueling it up at the start of this session and then just staying out there over time? Because it's only 12 minutes at the moment. You know, that's probably only going to be 6-7 laps, including your out lap.
There's a lot less time in this session. Of course, it's 18 minutes in Q1. They've only got 12 minutes in Q3, so time is really of the essence in this session, and everyone knows that. They're all coming straight out onto the track. Got Mirko Soriano, he is the first one out at the moment. Then it is Leroy Brown in behind him. Then it is the pair of the Williams drivers, Daniel Shelson and then Alvaro Caraton. Only one driver left in the pit lane. It is Drake Dempsey. I think maybe he's tucking into one of those hamburgers and French fries he was talking about earlier on in the Discord chat. Maybe playing some soccer at this point. But with 10 minutes left to go already, I'm really excited for this Q3. Let us know, everyone, in the live chat who you think is going to be on pole position. And Luke, I'm going to swing that question to you. Who is taking...
I think you've got to go Luke Smith, to be perfectly honest. He showed fantastic pace in Q1. Q2 obviously wasn't right at the top, but did retire as the fastest car at that moment in time. He seems to just have a couple of temps over everyone else at the moment. So yeah, I'm going to go for Luke Smith, but we'll see if the track conditions change. Wouldn't surprise me if we get cars going into the 47s in this session, possibly even faster if the track was improving. But yeah, you can... I mean, any one of these 10 drivers, depending if you get your timing absolutely right, it could be, you know, pick a name out of a hat time.
Absolutely. I mean, there's going to be a lot of competition. I'd say it's going to be very hotly contested. TTL Fabi has gone for Tom Manley. Richie is saying Daniel. That is referring to not myself, but Daniel Shelson. I think I'm going to agree with him. I'm going to go with one of the Williams to take the top spot. Reading FC has gone for Luke Smith, and I'm just seeing someone is pointing out my microphone. Unfortunately, that is not actually my mic. That is my internet at university. For some reason, it likes to cut out momentarily. That's why sometimes my voice decides to dip out. And yeah, but you know, I can't do anything about it. So big apologies there. As Q3 is underway, Mirko Soriano pushing at this point at the end of the first sector, headed in towards sector 2. He's about to take probably, I'd say, one of the easiest parts of this track. It's going to be the hairpin corner in towards this long back straight where DRS will be utilized, hopefully, in the race. Of course, dry race around here. Of course, it typically does make for a it does make for a better race. You know, a lot of these drivers they're driving a lot less carefully than they would be in the wet, and of course DRS will be a factor. But Soriano at the moment, he doesn't have to worry about that. He's going to be worrying about his lap 11.7 in sector 2. I don't believe, Luke, that is going to be the quickest time today.
No, that's sort of comparable to what we were seeing earlier on. That a lap time that could put you in the mid to high 1 minute 48 if you get it right through this final sector. Again, you'll have expected a bit more water to have accumulated on the track, as Soriano having to be very careful with the rear end of that Haas, getting very loose through turns 16, 17 and 18 there. We'll see what he can do through the final corner. It amazes me that he can still go on the curb in these wet conditions and not send the car flying towards the barrier, but Soriano comes across the line. 1:48.549 for him now. We've got Leroy Brown's got himself into second place. That is then instantly taken by Daniel Shelson, 3/10 slower than what Mirko Soriano has done. Let's see what Luke Smith's doing. 11.5 in the middle sector, so faster than what Mirko Soriano did. Is this going to be Luke Smith heading towards the top of the timing charts again? Yes, it is. 1:48.431 for the Alpine Esports man.
Yeah, Ruben Pedroño's just slotted himself into P8. That is not a representative lap time. Harvey Cohen has gone into P4. A lot of drivers now finally getting into the groove in the wet conditions. Definitely not going to be enough for the dry, not dry, for the intermediate compound of tyre. Only 2 drivers without a lap time at the moment. Alvaro Caraton, he is on his out lap and in the final sector. Frank Dempsey, look, we've not seen at any point in this qualifying session, and just as I say that, I can see his little red dot on the minimap is coming out of the pit lane, but he's leaving this one very, very late here.
Yeah, I mean, Caraton had come out onto the track earlier on, which made me think, is he going to risk a set of intermediates? Does he think the track's good enough? But no, went back into the pit lane, whether he had some sort of drama, whether he'd put on an old set of tyres for whatever reason. I'm not quite so sure, but yeah, we go. Caraton doing something slightly different, and Drake Dempsey doing something very different out there, clearly thinking that we're going to get some similar improvement towards the end of the session, what we got last time, so there's no real point to go out too early on. You might as well just stay in the pits. But I always think in this weather, you never know what's going to happen. Who's to say it's not going to get worse? And this is the order it's going to be in qualifying. I think in the wet, you've got to be out there every single moment, just trying to make the best of things. And we're seeing a lot of cars now head towards the pit lane, a more traditional qualifying session. What this is looking like at the moment. One of the cars who hasn't done that though is Daniel Schelchen. No improvement from him, but I think he's going for a second push lap. Tom Manley, he's put himself fastest of everyone. He's gone into third. Luke Smith has invalidated, so he's going to bring it back towards the pit lane. 29-0 from Alvaro Cavaton through the first sector. A pretty decent time, but we'll be able to tell by sector 2 roughly whether he's going to be able to challenge for pole with this first run.
In towards now turn number 12, the heaviest braking zone almost on this circuit, going speeds as low as 50 miles per hour at the moment, and 11.4 for Alvaro Caraton. I mean, that is a very impressive middle sector, and he has appeared purple through here. Luke, for once, I might actually be correct in my prediction for pole position. I said one of the Williams. I think Alvaro Caraton, he's got a very nice shot of it, but possibly this is, of course, it could be showing the track improving, and with more rubber, there's going to be more grip on the circuit. We'll see, though, as he heads now through the final few corners. Alvaro Caraton, where can he nestle himself? The time to beat is a 1 minute 48.431. Can he beat it? As he heads towards the line, he does more than beat it. He absolutely smashes it out of the water. A 1 minute 48.049. Laying down the gauntlet is Alvaro Caraton. That is an incredible lap time from him there, with just 4.5 minutes left to go in this session. I know that all these drivers in the pit lane watching that lap, I'd say they'd be quaking in their boots.
Yeah, that's sent a message to the rest of the field, hasn't it? Cavaton nearly 0.4 of a second faster than everyone else. A big margin in normal racing, never mind league racing, where we're seeing, I think last time out in Q1, if you were 0.4 slower than the fastest time, you'd be out of the session. Never mind first between second at the moment. So, yeah, whether this is a sign the track's improving or not, we'll have to wait and see. Drake Dempsey, a couple of attempts down through sector 1 on Alvaro Cavaton at the moment. But if the track is improving and he's going to be out there on fresh tyres all the time, this could be very good indeed. We'll see whether Cavaton and Dempsey decide to dive it back into the pit lane after their lap. I don't think Dempsey's going to have time to do that and be comfortable. Alvaro Cavaton should be able to if he's got a fresh set of tyres, but it's very interesting to see the different layouts and the different paths everyone has gone for in this session. Cavaton, Smith, Soriano, though, your top 3 times. I said we might see a 147. It looks like you're going to need to do that to knock Caraton off pole position at the moment.
Well, Caraton, he is invalid on his lap, so he's not going to be completing another one this time by. I think if he comes into the pits, that might be his day over. Still got plenty of ERS. I wonder if he's got that Williams car fueled up enough as well, so we can go around for another tour. As Drake Dempsey comes across the line now, we'll see what he can do. P8 for the American and his home circuit, ahead of Duncan Hoffland and Leroy Brown, but the pair of them are on push laps, on out laps at this moment in time. Ruben Pedreño has just begun his lap at the moment, Luke, and he's up by almost 0.2 of a second. Purple in sector 1. Could see a little bit of a dark horse here from Ruben Pedreño, and he's now headed in towards sector 2.
Yeah, again, drivers doing something different. Everyone else has come into the pits and has put a fresh set of tyres on and is coming back out there, or he's currently having a tyre change. Ruben Pedreño, he's stuck with this now. He's got to stay out and finish his lap, and I don't think, well, whether he's got the ERS or not to do another lap, we'll have to wait and see, but he's looking pretty feisty through sector 1. Fastest I've certainly seen on my screen all session long. It was purple for this session as well, so can Pedreño, a man who did very well here last season, finished in second place behind a dominant Thomas Ronhar, 111.2 through the middle sector. This could be a time to challenge Cavaton. Yeah, looking very good at the moment from Ruben Pedreño as he makes his way through the final sector. Everyone is out there on the circuit for now. Drake Dempsey in behind as well, but Ruben Pedreño in the Alpine looks like he could be setting a lap good enough to get himself onto provisional pole position here, and possibly the first man to get into the 1 minute 47s as he makes his way through turn number 19, through turn number 20. The young Spaniard careful on the throttle towards the finish line. What's it going to be for Pedreño?
Whoa.
Just misses out. 32 thousandths of a second on 4 lap old tyres though. You'd be expecting to see improvements from other drivers, but Luke Smith at the moment, he's a long way down. He knows he's got another run in the bag though.
Yeah, and someone else who's on another run at the moment, Luke. Alvaro Caraton, he's responding right back. He's 2/10 quicker on his previous best lap in Sector 2. So I think we could see Alvaro Caraton to be the first man into the 1 minute 47s, unless Mirko Soriano, I don't believe he's actually on a push lap at this moment in time. He's going to let Caraton go on through, currently on a 1 minute 48.049. Alvaro Caraton out of the final corner now to cross the line. And there it is. I don't know if there's anyone going to be able to go quicker than that. A 1 minute 47.665 for the Spaniards. Could that be our pole position time?
It wouldn't surprise me if it is. I think, no one's looked like getting close to that at the moment. But again, the track's improving. Who knows what someone's going to be able to pull out the bag. Duncan Hoffland here, 148.054, puts himself into second place all of a sudden. Again, if you're last man across the line, you might be able to time this absolutely right. If you've got it all good with your ERS, Leroy Brown towards the line. This isn't going to challenge pole position, but does find a big improvement to get himself in towards 6th place. Harvey Cohen was fastest in Q2. Can only get himself into 4th place for now, and it's going to be Daniel Shelson. He's going to be the last man across the line to start his lap time. 1-2 watch as the time is ticking by. That is the checkered flag out here in this Q3 session. Pedreño not improving, so he's going to stay in 3rd place. Great Dempsey, though. Fastest of everyone in the middle sector.
We'll see what the American can do in the Ferrari. His teammate eliminated in Q1. He's been the lone prancing horse this evening as Rune Pedreño retires in the pit lane, I believe, and that is him at the best in 3rd position. Here comes now Drake Dempsey. Little bit of a wobble out of turn number 18 through turn 19, though. He's been able to keep the car on the circuit, and once again, riding those curbs. He looks very unstable in this Ferrari as he comes across the line now. Where's he going to put his car? And it's only a 1 minute 48.582 for him. P7 is the best he could achieve. Mirko Soriano at the moment is ever so slightly down, but if he finds a bit more time in this final sector, he could be up and maybe in towards that top 5 as unfortunately an invalidation through turn number 19. We've not seen too many of them in this session, but lo and behold, it has finally struck one of the drivers, Alvaro Caraton, invalid, as is Luke Smith. What about Tom Manley? Not on a valid lap time at the moment. Duncan Hoffland, however, if he is able to pull this one out of the bag, we could see him quickest of them all as he heads now through turn number 19. Is he going to be able to challenge Alvaro Caraton? This is a very anticlimactic ending because everyone, Luke, is coming in towards the pit lane. What about Harvey Cohen? Is he? I believe he is going to be the next one to cross the line, and indeed he will finish up on this lap, currently in P4. Where can he put his Red Bull? Can he go onto the front row? Oh, he's so close to doing so. But it is P3 at the very best for him. Leroy Brown coming into the pit lane. That leaves Daniel Shelson up by 0.5 of a second. Where can he put his Williams? It is P5. He is starting alongside Luke Smith. But nobody could triumph over Alvaro Caraton. Absolutely smashing everyone out the water this session.
Yeah, just superb. And we saw so many drivers make mistakes, getting validations on their final runs. I mean, Daniel Shelson, I don't know whether he'd been able to get pole position, but he was looking very quick indeed. Just ran a bit too wide coming through turn number 19 and had to hang it on the curb. Avoid accelerating, obviously to avoid spinning the car and also to avoid him validating the lap. So he finishes in 5th place. Alvaro Caraton, though, 0.389 seconds ahead of Duncan Hoffland. That is bigger than the gap between Duncan and Luke Smith in 6th.
Yep, so there it is, your Q3 qualifying order. Alvaro Caraton takes pole position in this second round of season 14. Duncan Hoffland will be starting alongside him, but he absolutely has been manhandled, as has everyone else, really, by Alvaro Caraton. He's a little bit quiet in the first session, came up in Q2, and then has absolutely dominated in Q3, and we'll hope to see him flying in this race. But there it is, Luke. That is your grid set. And now we look towards this 28-lap race. And one thing I'm hoping for, even though it provides a little bit of action when it is the opposite, I'm hoping for some dry weather.
Yeah, I think everyone after that qualifying session is going to be hoping that they do get some dry weather. Kind of sick of the sight of it around here. Reminder of the track layout: 5.513 kilometers, 3.425 miles, 20 turns with the 2 DRS zones. It should hopefully be a fantastic race. We've got a Williams on pole position, and they've just relaunched their new esports lounge, so let's check it out.
to head in towards this Circuit of the Americas race, the USA Grand Prix. It's going to be a cracker of an event with just 20 seconds left to go until we start this one. Luke, give us your top three.
Ooh, that is I mean, it's a tough one normally, but we've not seen what anyone can do in drive running around here. I'm going to go for Caverton to take the victory. I'm going to go for... I'm going to go for Tom Manley to take second. Don't ask why. And I think Ron Hall's going to get a podium.
Starting right at the back of the order, it's certainly going to be a challenge for Thomas Ron Hall. Let us know, everyone in the live chat, who you are supporting in this one as the 5 red lights come on here. And there it is, we are underway. Alvaro Carreton with a decent start. Duncan Offland trying to draw alongside as they climb the hill towards the first corner. Got 3 wide between a Haas Alftari and a Williams car in towards turn number 1. They go, they're 4 abreast for 3rd position, and it is Ruben Pedreño, the beneficiary out of all of it. Alvaro Carreton leading the way as they head in towards the S's section. Duncan Offland P2, P3 for Ruben Pedreño, and they're going to be all side by side battling. Mirko Soriano and Harvey Cohen going at it as they head in towards the snaking part of this first sector, and it seems like Alvaro Carreton, Luke, he has had the absolute dream start today.
Yeah, exactly what he would have wanted. The entire field is on a set of the hard tyres. Whether that means we're going to get some rain later on, or they just think that is the optimal strategy, it remains to be seen, because it is what you would normally do. Go for the hard to medium tyres. Daniel Shelson and Harvey Cohen having their own little battle, and all this is doing is sort of dragging the midfield together and allowing the front cars to escape. Here's Leroy Brown going side by side with Drake Dempsey on the moment. These are plenty of battles in their F2 days. Who's going to come out on top this time? And Brown's perhaps even thinking about a move on Harvey Cohen. Not able to make that done. And the battling and squabbling continues as we go through this fascinating stadium section of the circuit. Brown has the inside line for turn number 15. And I think that'll be the move done. But Drake Dempsey's still trying to hang on in there. And this is just allowing Cohen and some of the others to break away. You've got Soriano going side by side with Daniel Shelson as well. You don't know where to look. Plenty of battling on lap number 1. And so far, thankfully, they've managed to keep it reasonably clean. Haven't seen any carbon fibre or the like flying. Perfect start though for Alvaro Carreton, already 0.8 of a second ahead.
Almost breaking DRS to Duncan Hoffland at this point in time. A lot of battling on this circuit at the moment. The biggest winners in this race so far, Valentin Tivard has up 4 places. Jake Benham as well, up 3. Dylan Warren up 3. Will Lewis up 3 as well. Thomas Ronhall, where is he? He's in 18th at the moment, so he has gained 2 places in this race. Jake Benham, though, he is up now in towards the top 10. He was having a masterful scrap with Tom Manley, who has not had the best getaway, unfortunately, in this race. He's down and out of the points-paying positions at this moment in time, behind Drake Dempsey, who has even had a worse start, actually. He's down 2 places. Harvey Cohen, though, Luke, lost 4 places in that first lap. He really is struggling, but hopefully as this race goes on, we're going to see a little bit of stabilization as they head down this long back straight. Burlem Ferrer and Will Lewis having a scrap here, and there's 2 drivers up ahead, the Red Bull and the Ferrari of Valentin Tivard going up the inside of potentially 3 cars here, almost making contact with Dylan Warren. He's managed to keep that one clean. He gets ahead of Liam Parnell, can't quite stick the move on Dylan Warren. Here comes Parnell back at him in towards the 3rd sector though, but with the inside line for the next left-hander, it's going to allow for Manuel Biancalillo to try and slip up the inside to no avail. Liam Parnell's going to be able to stay in P14.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much battling going on at the moment and no one really able to get a clean rhythm on their own. Drake Dempsey picks up a 3-second time penalty. I did see him run very wide on the previous lap a couple of times when he was having that brilliant battle with Leroy Brown, so perhaps that is the reason why Carreton sets another fastest lap. DRS is enabled. First time they'll be able to use it is on the run out of turn 11, that long back straight towards turn number 12. At the moment, Duncan Hoffland might not have DRS, and Ruben Pedreño could possibly not have DRS as well, as Prejnader's retired in the pits. Modesto Mena has also come into the pit lane. Wonder if there's been contact between those two. They had just dropped off the back of the field slightly.
Yeah, that wasn't a very quick pit stop either for the McLaren, so I'd imagine that there was a front wing change involved there. Prejnader out of this race and retiring at the end of the second lap. Alvaro Carreton has indeed broken that 1 second DRS window to Duncan Hoffland, who at the moment is charging the battery. He's sub 10%. He's pretty much flat on this battery at the moment. That is going to definitely be a sweet sight for Room Pedreño. He's got 50% of the ERS as they head down in towards turn number 12. Not quite close enough to make an opportunity at this point in time, but he is weaving his way closer to the back of the Aston Martin. I think maybe in towards turn number 1, or perhaps on turn number 12 next time by is when Room Pedreño is going to be able to strike and get himself into P2, because if he wants a chance of winning this race, he cannot let Alvaro Carreton run away up this circuit, have a free race to himself. He really does have to apply the pressure to his fellow countrymen as they head towards turn number 19. He is going to have DRS, that luxury not going to be used by Duncan Hoffland. In towards turn number 1 they go, 6/10 back though, Luke. I don't think he's going to be close enough to make a move here.
No, too far back. He's just got to see if he can line up Hoffland in any way, shape or form. You know, through this twisty first sector, it's pretty much one of the worst sections in the calendar to follow a Formula 1 car through. High speed, constant changes of direction, even with the game being less realistic with dirty air than real life, thankfully, and the new modern formula negating with dirty air slightly. It is still going to feel pretty awful around here, and it's not too surprising to see that he's not able to gain any time despite having that extra ERS. Alvaro Carreton had also pretty much burnt up all of his battery, so that's good news for Pedreño if he can get close enough to Hoffland to pull off a move. 4/10 of a second coming in towards turn number 11 there. Stays fairly close on the exit of the braking zone. It's going to be tight, but it wouldn't surprise me if Pedreño was able to get him here. Now's the power of the ERS. Now's the power of the DRS. And in the end, Hoffland's got absolutely nothing to fight with.
There was a speed difference of about 10 miles per hour headed in towards the braking zone there. That was Room Pedreño pretty much dumping everything onto Duncan Hoffland to make sure the move was secure, and Hoffland knew that he really couldn't fight that one there, so he is now down into P3. Room Pedreño makes it a Spanish 1-2 here. We'll see if he can catch his fellow countryman, down by 1.3 seconds at the moment. Luke Smith still in this fight as well. Daniel Shelton has had a really good start. Actually, no, he's still in P5. He lost a lot of positions in towards the first lap, and he was able to gain them back. Now runs in P5. Mirko Soriano ahead of Harvey Cohen. Leroy Brown, there's a big gap actually between Cohen and Brown here, and maybe that is going to invite Jake Benham into a move in towards the first corner. Here he is making his way up the inside in towards turn number 1. Leroy Brown without any fight to that there. Jake Benham, he's made up 4 places in this race now.
Yeah, Benham slowly working his way up the order. We'll see whether he can try and get onto the back of Cohen. It's amazing how split up the field is at that point of the order. You know, very rare you see gaps this big, barring any incidents. There was plenty of battling in the midfield, but wouldn't really have expected it to do anything like that. We're also seeing at the front something similar to what we saw last time out, where Bonhar had burnt all his battery, and then Longay and a couple of the others were able to close in. This time it was Carreton has burnt all his battery, and it has just allowed, he was marginal out of the DRS line, but he was just within that 1 second. Ruben Pedreño, he's dumped his battery to get himself up back into DRS ranges. Here comes Luke Smith down the inside of Duncan Hoffland, using that extra hybrid energy, and that is Luke Smith into the podium places for now. We're seeing quite a few more moves in the early stages of the race than you normally do. It's normally a management phase, but I think everyone's forgot about that in this one, as Drake Dempsey, I think, just getting pushed off the track ever so slightly there as part of that overtake by Tom Manley, and has also earned himself another 3-second time penalty. It could be a long afternoon for Dempsey, as there comes Dylan Warren up into 11th as well.
Yeah, Drake Dempsey is pretty much getting bullied at the moment on circuit. Valentin Thibard almost made the move on his teammate there, but Dylan Warren with a Hail Mary send into that left-hander there. It's very easy to lock up, and incidents can be quite common there, but he was able to pluck up the courage to go for it. Drake Dempsey might not be too happy about it as they head down in towards the first corner. Will the Ferrari man try for a move potentially? He's just got no battery though. He's only got 5%. He can't push an attack against Dylan Warren. Maybe it's just about a patience game for him at this point, as Harvey Cohen becomes the second driver to get a 3-second time penalty for multiple extensions. And Luke, I doubt in this race he's going to be the last.
No, I think because of how hard everyone's having to push at the moment, we are seeing a few more penalties manage to pick their way up. And it could prove to be costly. We saw last time out a lot of 5-second penalties. Hopefully we won't get too many of them this time around, but a lot of 5-second penalties made some big changes to the order here. You never know. Could there be a safety car later on? Could we have a driver make a slight mistake? The walls are quite a long way away at most parts of the circuit here, but on worn tyres, it's a possibility. We're not going to get that mix of strategies that we normally love to see as drivers trying different things, unless someone goes a long, long way on the same set of tyres to possibly go for the softs at the end, because everyone did start on the hard tyres, and Modesto Mena changed to the mediums in the pit lane as well. That's Valentin Thibard, who's had a moment coming out of turn number 12, and that drops in behind Leon Parnell and behind Manuel Biancalila. I wonder if Thibard, don't know if he's getting out of the way there, but he's got some sort of issue.
Yeah, he's all over the circuit, off the track, and he's lost heap of positions. He was able to stay ahead of Biancalila originally, and boom, and Farah's going to send it around the outside of the triple right-hander. But Valentin Thibard, he went off the circuit once again. I think maybe with a bit of grass on his tyres, and he wasn't feeling. And yeah, now he's lost a number of spots down and towards P18. Thomas Ronhaar up into 15th at this point. He's going to go down the inside of Manuel Biancalila. That's another move made for the Dutchman. He is up into 14th place at this point. He's gained now 6 positions, so he is the biggest mover in this Grand Prix so far. Thomas Ronhaar trying his hardest to get himself up into that top 10, doing a last of first challenge. At the moment, though, it's seeming like it is going to be a very, very big challenge, especially with the likes of Leroy Brown and Harvey Cohen seemingly in no man's land at the moment. They have fallen a long, long way back from those in front.
Yeah, I mean, Ronhaar's already 11 seconds off the lead of this race, but if he gets in a bit of free air, we might be able to see more of what he's able to do. DRS probably helping him slightly at the moment, so I'm not sure he's going to be too bothered about the free air. Here comes Tom Manley on the back of Leroy Brown, not close enough to go for a move and lifting off there, just showing how much he's not interested in going for the move at this point in the race. He's very happy to just stay behind, but Leroy does seem to be a bit of the cork in the bottle. He's dropped 2 seconds back from Jake Benham, who's got himself now back within DRS range of Harvey Cohen, who I think himself is having his own issues because he's now dropped 2 seconds behind Mirko Soriano. Obviously, we've not seen anyone in the dry conditions today. We're not sure how much practice they'll have done in the dry. We're not sure whether they did compromise their setup because qualifying was so wet. There are so many unknowns, you know, in all forms of motorsport, especially in league racing. At the start of this race, you'd have thought Cavaton was running away with things. As we come on to lap 8, he's only half a second ahead of Ruben Pedreño, and any one of those top 6 drivers without any penalties could still be able to claim the victory.
Yep, still plenty of question marks up in the air, but they will be answered in due course. We've still got 21 laps to go in this race. We are only on lap number 8 of 28, so a lot of action still left to be had. Alvaro Carreton, though, he is well and truly been reeled in by Ruben Pedreño, who at this moment in time, Luke, seems to be the fastest man out on circuit. Luke Smith keeping him keeping him company, though, in behind, and Duncan Hoffland, I think he's now sort of got to grips with the pace in this race. He was being able to keep up with Pedreño, and Luke Smith is now in towards turn number 12. Pedreño gets close to the back of Carreton, but not close enough, as Jake Benham is now ahead of Harvey Cohen. He's had enough of sitting in behind the Red Bull, who is really, really struggling for pace at this point. He's lost 2.6 seconds to the top 6 here. And it is going to be a challenge for Jake Benham to get up to them, especially when they're all slipstreaming and utilising DRS on each other.
Yes, I mean, the good news for Benham is he's got about 20% more of his ERS energy, that hybrid energy that comes from the kinetic system on the braking and the heat that comes to help spool the turbo up as well. He can use that to try and offset the lack of DRS that he's got. Harvey Cohen had no option, and with how long the straight is from 11 to 12, and also the fairly decent size pit straight as well, up the hill towards turn number 1. It's not surprising that Harvey Cohen was losing time, but he's already, since turn number 12, he's dropped nearly 1 second behind Jake Benham. So whether he's got a tiny bit of damage and with some very robust battling going on for 3rd place right at the start of this race, whether Cohen's picked up any damage or not, we're not sure. His teammate has just found himself dropping a position as well. Thomas Ronhaar gets himself up in towards 13th. No penalties at the moment. Points, I think, points are the minimum of what we expected from Ronhaar, no matter where he started. Just wait and see how many points he is able to get. Anything higher than 7th place at the moment, because of that gap in the field, looks like it could be a struggle.
Yeah, let's hope for Thomas Ronhaar's sake that he's able to get it stopped in time when coming into the pits as well. I don't think there's been any change between Kota in the pit lane, so hopefully he's going to be able to get that one stopped. As Drake Dempsey just ahead of him got another 3-second time penalty. He's up to 9 seconds at this point. And Thomas Ronhar's not going to have much issues getting by. There's Manuel Biancalila trying to make a move on Liam Parnell in behind as well. But there it is, Ronhar up the inside in towards turn number 12. Can he make this move stick on Drake Dempsey? Indeed, he can. Manuel Biancalila, meanwhile, he is ahead of Liam Parnell, down into 15th position at this point. It seems like both of the Red Bulls at this point, Luke, just going...
Yeah, just dropping down the order at this moment in time. Not ideal at all for either of them. You can see... Oh! And that is Drake Dempsey. He's... I don't know if he's made a slight mistake or had some sort of issue there, but he's gone very well wide at 16, 17 and 18. He's had to fully get out of the throttle, a bit like what we saw his teammate do a few laps ago. Yeah, that is not ideal at all for Drake Dempsey. We appear to have lost Dan from the session, so hopefully we are able to get him back in, and that is Drake Dempsey retiring from the session then. Speeding in the pit lane. He's had a bit of a rough race. And that is Dempsey out of this one. But back towards the front of the field, Alvaro Cavaton still leading. Now in a bit more of a management phase. He's built up his ERS just a tiny bit more, as has Ruben Pedreño, as has Luke Smith, and Hoffman, and Shelson, and Mirko Soriano. These drivers happy to just stay at the distance that they are between each other at the moment. Jake Benham looming in the background is able to close up the gaps at this moment in time. We'll see whether he's able to do so as the race goes on, and we'll also see whether this is the lap where Tom Manley decides to go for the move on Leroy Brown. Just hasn't quite got the traction to get out of that final corner onto the DRS straight, as well as some of the others, and just seems to be losing out in all of that, so has to just stay behind for now. And there we go, Tom Manley stays in 10th place. In terms of the pit stops, we're probably still a few laps away before anyone is going to brave a set of the medium tyres. I think 17, 18 will be the latest we see anyone go for it. Always surprises me how early the drivers are willing to go for a set of the medium tyres and try something different. As unfortunately, University Internet has completely died for Dan. Hopefully he's able to join at some point. That is Leroy Brown, he's had a major moment at 16, 17 and 18. We saw a tiny one from the fellow Ferrari engine car of Drake Dempsey one lap ago. That is much, much bigger from Leroy Brown, all the way off the circuit, all the way down from what was 9th place. And that has got him out of the way of Tom Manley, who'll probably be, no, I wouldn't say pleased to see that, but probably glad he's got a bit of free air all of a sudden. So that is Manley up into 9th. That promotes Brown's teammate Dylan Warren into the points. And Warren now, the car in front of him does not have the DRS, so a bit of a legend, a bit of an old school name, of course, in league racing. He's started to make a return. Let's just follow him on board slightly and let's see what Dylan Warman can do for the rest of his lap. He's in a much better place energy-wise at the moment. 62% on him. Well, was in a better place. I think he's burnt a bit more and Manley's been saving a bit more. Both on around 60% at the moment. But we'll see whether Warman can get close enough, and just in that traction, the concertina effect, it all spreads out. Manley looks as though he might have just done enough to hang on here. Is Dylan Warman going to go for a bit of a dive though? Up the inside, in towards turn number 12, on the brakes. Very nicely done. He spent the entire race so far, it seems, behind an Alfa Romeo, and when he's finally got rid of one, another one pops up ahead of him. Tom Manley back down into 10th place, and that is Dylan Warman up into 9th, and just behind these, looking very racy despite having done the 24 hours of Daytona earlier, is Thomas Ronhart. He is in 11th place, and looking very nice indeed. Leaders coming on to lap number 12 out of 28 here in World Online Racing. Round number 2 of season 14 in the top PC tier. It's Alvaro Cavaton, Ruben Pedreño and Luke Smith, your top 3. Still yet to see any of the leaders make their way into the pits though. Cavaton just controlling this race at the moment, just doing what he needs to do. Likewise, Pedreño, Smith, Hoffman, Shelson, Soriano, not too bothered about trying to fight up with all of them. There's Jake Benham in that situation, similar to what we saw Harvey Cohen a few laps ago. He's burnt all his energy trying to close up to these guys and just can't quite get close enough. Just can't quite get close enough. So 1.5 seconds behind. Whether we see him go for an undercut, go for something a bit aggressive to try and get himself into this train, we'll have to wait and see what his drivers are going to do. Is Harvey Cohen going to be able to do anything different? It seems like he's sorted the pace out for now. Are Warren, Manley and Ronhar going to be able to do anything? Here comes Ronhar looking very close to the back of Tom Manley. It is going to have to be a bit of a dive up the inside, and these have got history around this circuit. It is a dive up the inside from Thomas Ronhard. Just about manages to get the car stopped in time. A little bit of wheel banging between them causes the Dutchman to lose traction. And there we go. That is Manley back ahead. That was quite close to being a big incident. Ronhard dives it down the inside. Can he get it worked? Can he get it stopped in time? Can he stay ahead? All of a sudden, lap number 12 is how long it has taken for Thomas Ronhard to start from last place, get himself into the points. And there's not been too many incidents throughout the field either. So this is looking pretty good for Ronhard all of a sudden. Harvey Cohen with a penalty up ahead. We'll have to see if there are going to be any positions gained. But what that little battle has done is just allowed Dylan Warren to break away slightly. That gap has gone up to about 0.8 of a second before the DRS. When is the pit window? Pretty much any minute now. We should be seeing cars coming, getting rid of their hard tyres and going on to a set of the mediums. If we start seeing the drivers burning all their VRS, that is a good sign that they're going to be going for the medium tyres. We were wondering, with the entire field having started on the hards, whether we'd be seeing any rain towards the end of this race, but it does not look like to be the case. So I'd say anything from now to lap 16, lap 17 is when you're going to see the drivers come in off that set of hard tyres and go on to the set of mediums. If anyone is feeling brave for a set of soft tyres, as Manley and Ronhard are going tooth and nail quite again, it's going to be a drag race once more. This time Ronhard is ahead. Manley's got the DRS and Dylan Warren is having to drive the widest Alfa Romeo this side of Austin to try and keep them behind him. 3 wide in towards turn number 12 then. Ronhard on the inside, Dylan Warren there. Tom Manley patiently waiting, patiently seeing to see if he can take advantage of all of this. Very late on the brakes. I think they're all off the circuit there. And that's Bianca Lila all of a sudden able to get involved in the action. They're getting pretty feisty here. For 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th place. Still Bianca Lila and Tom Manley are going side by side with each other. And it is Bianca Lila who comes out on top in all that, which started with Manley going for a move in towards turn number 11, which is not somewhere where you see a move too often, as Valentin Thibard gets himself a 3-second time penalty as he tries to hang on to the back of the field. That is the penalty situation at the moment. 3 seconds for Cohen, 3 seconds for Ferrer, 3 seconds for Thibard. As there we go, Thomas Ronhard round the outside of Dylan Warren, and a bit more contact between the two of them. They are trading paint time and time again around this track, and all it is doing is losing them time. Is it going to lose them a bit more than time? Still Warren stays ahead. How on earth is Dylan Warren managing to pull this off? He is keeping Thomas Ronhard behind him. Bianca Lila, Manley, Parnell and Lewis and Dybard and Ferrer will all be able to get these involved in this as well. And Harvey Cohen's just ahead of them. Quite glad that they're doing all this battling, because that has dropped him away from his penalty range. And Manley just throws a nose up the inside. Thankfully, Bianca Lila saw it coming. Thankfully, Manley pulled out of this one. Right, Ronhard versus Warren. Round number... I've lost how many rounds we're on with all of these two now. Gee, what are they doing here? Warren down the inside of Ronhard. A bit more wheel bagging. It's, yeah, I think this could be one that's going to the stewards here. Either that or someone's forgot to turn damage on, because I'm not sure how they've still got every single part of their car, because there's been some very wild dive bombs. And there goes another one. Thomas Ronhard on Dylan Warren. Looks to have got it stopped in time. Manley on Bianca Lila. Bianca Lila having to take to the escape road as we've got drivers coming into the pits there. Daniel Houghton in towards the pit lane. Lap number 14. He makes his way in. We said it a bit roundabout now when drivers are coming in. Also Mirko Soriano on his way into the pits. Medium tyres on. This is the first scheduled pit stop that we have seen. Yeah, very interesting indeed. Daniel Shelson into the pits then. Lap number 11. We'll see where he comes out. He is going to be very close to Leroy Brown. He is actually going to come out ahead of Leroy Brown, as has Mirko Soriano. That is ideal for them. That is exactly what they needed to do. Free air for Shelson. 20.7 seconds off the lead of the race. And will that now cause everyone else to start to react, to start to come into the pits? While that pit stop was happening, Dylan Warren has managed to get back ahead of Thomas Ronhard. They're now 14 seconds off the lead of this race. And Tom Manley is back behind Thomas Ronhard. I think we're going to be seeing plenty more of this in this race. And if Will Lewis wasn't focusing so hard on driving, he'd be able to get the pot thrown out, because they are going to be watching some very interesting battling. As again, Warren tries weaving towards the inside just to try and stop Ronhard going for a move. Again, There's more contact between Warren and Ronhar. Ronhar all the way off the circuit, gets himself a 3-second time penalty. There's got to be words for this. Like, it's not good, is it? If we're being honest, it's not the greatest to see, but certainly is entertaining. Sort of resembling more touring cars at the moment at Kota than Formula 1 racing. As there goes Smith and Hofland into the pits, leaving Cavaton and Pedreño from our lead group, staying out there on the circuit. And still, Warren is staying ahead of Ronhar. And still, Manley and Will Lewis are waiting in the wings. And we'll see where these guys come out relative to Shelson. Here we go again. Warren trying to break for toe. Ronhar just letting him know he's there. There's going to be a dive down the inside. Is there? No. Not on this occasion. Warren decides to just stay behind. And that, my friends, Daniel Shelson coming out side by side with Duncan Hofland. Power of the undercut. Proven straight away, and Mirko Suriano's going to fancy one of these as well. All the way around the outside, just has to back off. That is Daniel Shelson, gets ahead of Duncan Hofland. Crucial for him. Mirko Suriano not able to do so. And there's a yellow flag, and that is Mirko Suriano who has gone round. He was side by side with Hofland. Not ideal at that part of the circuit, and not ideal for his strategy, because look where he is all of a sudden behind Parnell, behind Biancalila. He is going to be outside the points once all is said and done of all this. I think we know what's coming. I think we know what's coming. Warren and Ronhar, round number 6. I think we're up to now. Down the inside goes Warren, and still Ronhar is not able to get that inside line. I think they are enjoying this at the moment. Well, I hope they're enjoying it. But it doesn't look like there's too much love lost between the two of them as we stand at the moment. And Cavaton and Pedreño are going to carry on for one more lap, which is probably going to give provisionally the race lead to Luke Smith once everything's said and done in the pit lane. Luke Smith is now 18.5 seconds off the lead of this race. Considering where they were earlier on, I think he's going to be very close to Cavaton and Pedreño when the pit stop period is done, as Suriano and Maynard are having their own little battle, and I think Suriano is just on his way into the pits. I think Suriano has just given up on this one. Not a good idea whatsoever for him. Had that little bit of a spin. Contact maybe with Duncan Hofland. But it looks like it is game over for Mirko Suriano, as we're starting to see more fastest laps coming in. Now, a reminder of the points system here at World Online Racing. It is identical to Formula 1, apart from the difference that you do not get a fastest lap point no matter where you finish. So, 25 for the winner, 18 for second, 15 for third, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2 and 1. But no points for the fastest lap, as that is Mirko Suriano pulling the car into the pit lane. And that will be Mirko Suriano, I believe, becoming the third retirement of this race, as Tom Manley is off the circuit, letting Luke Smith come by. This is where things could get interesting here. Luke Smith's got the DRS. He's very soon going to be catching up to the shenanigans of Ronhar and Warren. And I really hope the two of them don't get involved with each other at the moment. But there we go. Warren into 6th place. Down the inside he goes again on Ronhar. I think they are just enjoying themselves. I think they are just having some fun. But what this is going to allow, as that is Luke Smith now actually dropped behind Shelson and Hofland all of a sudden. So has Luke Smith had some sort of issue with some sort of shenanigans in all this? We just missed that as that was happening. But Daniel Shelson works his way past Thomas Ronhar, works his way past Dylan Warren. That is a fantastic move from Shelson. All of a sudden, he's looking in a very good place indeed. Very late call from Dylan Warren to make his way into the pits there. Where is Daniel Shelson going to come out relative to his teammate? Thomas Ronhar backs well out of the way. Tom Manley retires from the session. There is our answer. Alvaro Cavaton on the inside. Shelson on the outside. Not able to get alongside for now. And Cavaton has the lead of the race. But he has much colder tyres. Can he survive without any DRS, of course, all the way up to turn number 12? And that is a yellow flag just for Manley's retired car. We've got Pedreño's come out behind Duncan Hofland, so he has really lost plenty of places in all of this. And Luke Smith has picked up a 3-second time penalty. Right. Let us know, folks. Who do you think is going to take the victory in this race? Here comes Ruben Pedreño alongside Luke Smith then, trying to get that move worked. Further up ahead, we're going to see Daniel Shelson try a move on Alvaro Cavaton. Not using any of his ERS. He's got the DRS. That is not enough at the moment, and you'd be a brave man as a reserve to try and move down the inside of your esports teammate. So Shelson stays in 4th for now, next 2nd place, as we have still got Jake Benham and Harvey Cohen yet to come into the pits, and that is the penalty situation. 5 seconds for Cohen, or 3 seconds for Cohen, 3 seconds for Smith, Wanhart, Ferrer and Thivard, as Manuel Biancalila makes a move on Liam Parnell. He gets himself up in towards 7th place, and Dylan Warren, he now earns himself a 3-second time penalty. We are on to lap number 19 of the race, and into the pits comes Dylan Warren then. Harvey Cohen deciding to stay out there, so he gets a bit of a glory run. Jake Benham staying out there. Now, is Harvey Cohen going to think about going long enough to go on for the set of the soft tyres? Not the optimal strategy, but you never know. If we get a safety car, things could work out very well indeed for him. We'll have to wait and see what he decides to do. But it is Cohen in the lead, Caverton in the net lead. It looks like he has just held off his teammate, but there's plenty more battling, I think, still to go here at COTA. Drivers just making their way in towards the back straight now. 3.5 seconds and rapidly increasing. The gap between Cohen and Caverton. Daniel Shelson doing enough for now to stay within DRS range of his teammate, but he's got more worn tyres and he's about 8 tenths back. The slipstream is not the, not the most effective at that sort of distance, so there could still be a possibility for Pedreño, who was runner-up last season to Thomas Ronhaar. Don't think he's going to be runner-up to Ronhaar this time around, down in 7th place with a time penalty, still yet to come into the pits. I think himself, Will Lewis and possibly Harvey Cohen are just begging for the safety car, begging for something different to happen in this race. Pedreño needs to clear Shelson quickly here. He's in danger of dropping outside of DRS range of Alvaro Caverton at the moment, which could pretty much be on the same age of tyres, game, set and match to Caverton, and a very nice victory, and to go along with a 2nd place last time around. Caverton putting himself in good contention for the championship at the moment, but we have still got a long way to go. Pedreño with the fastest lap of the race. Thomas Ronhaar, lap number 19, finally deciding to come into the pits. Leroy Brown picks up another 3-second time penalty, and we'll see what tyres it's going to be for Ronhaar. It is the mediums. He's outside the points. He's going to be back behind Dylan Warren again. It is a long, long time, I think, for Thomas Ronhaar this race. Tried something different, has not worked out for him. Wait and see what is going to happen with everyone else. We'll wait and see if we're going to get any safety cars or the like in this race. Still only Cohen and Lewis yet to come into the pits, and Will Lewis, I think he's very soon going to be overtaken by his teammate Jake Benham. Not having the race I think he would have wanted at the start, but could still finish best of the rest at the moment, as here comes Ruben Pedreño alongside Daniel Shelson. Can he get it stopped on the brakes? Down the inside goes Ruben Pedreño, and he takes 3rd position from the reserve from Daniel Shelson. All those older tyres just going to mean it's a bit too much of an ask for Shelson to fight back, or has he got anything left in the tank? It remains to be seen. Cohen still leading. He's not going to be leading for long with not a lot of ERS. 90-lap-old hard tyres amongst significantly more ERS and 2-lap-old medium tyres. But he's enjoying himself, and who can blame him? You never know what could happen. A safety car could bring Harvey Cohen right back into things, but I think very soon he is going to be losing 1st position. To the inside goes Alvaro Caverton. Easy as you like on the brakes. He gets the move done, and crucially for him, puts a car in between himself and Ruben Pedreño through this through the twisty, fast-flowing 1st sector of the lap. And this is going to be absolute hell for Ruben Pedreño, because he knows it's single file, and he knows Alvaro Caverton is just going to stretch his gap even more. It is looking good for a Spanish 1-2 at the moment, and it is looking very good for it to be Alvaro Caverton claiming his 2nd podium of the season. And it looks like Ruben Pedreño is just going to have to stay in 2nd place once again. He's going to have the DRS. He's got plenty more ERS than Harvey Cohen. There's not a lot that the young Brit's going to be able to do here. I don't think we've got a yellow flag, as that is, I think, Thivard and Ferrer having their own battle in the background. And there we go, down the inside goes Ruben Pedreño. He takes 2nd place with 7.5 laps remaining in this race. So here comes Thomas Ronhard, this time on the back of Leroy Brown. He'll be hoping he has a lot less trouble with this Alfa Romeo than he did the one earlier on. Shelson has also worked his way past Harvey Cohen. And there we go, that is Thomas Ronhart up into 12. As I say, Shelson's worked his way past Harvey Cohen. Harvey Cohen has not given up at the moment in that Red Bull. He's got to be getting close to puncture territory at the moment. I think he realised he was. So into the pits come Harvey Cohen. He'll drop a long way down the order. But as we get a lovely view of just how destroyed that front right tyre is at the moment. There we go, set of soft tyres going onto Harvey Cohen's car. He's going to be blisteringly quick at the end of this race. But he's going to have a lot of overtakes to do. Will come out, I think, just ahead of the Ronhart-Brown battle. Dylan Warren should get ahead of him. But yeah, extremely fast on that set of tyres. Harvey Cohen, do not write him out for points. Do not write him out. Catching up to the back of Parnell, Biancalila, and maybe some of the others, which leaves Will Lewis after 22 laps. It will be this time around. Leaves Will Lewis as the only man still yet to come into the pits in this race. We'll see what happens. And at the front of the field, fair play to him, Ruben Pedreño has got back within DRS range of Alvaro Carreton. Did briefly drop out of it, but he is right within range here, is Alvaro Carreton. They've left some of the others for dead, as Luke Smith having a battle here with Duncan Hoffland. Daniel Shelson finding himself getting slightly surrounded in the middle of all these. Luke Smith gets two cars in the space of one straight. Brilliant driving from the AlphaTauri. Smith into third place, and Shelson and Hoffland are still having their own little battle for fourth and fifth here. A little bit of contact between the two. Hoffland has to give up this place for now, and they are still effectively fighting for a podium, of course, because Luke Smith has that 3-second time penalty. But the more they battle, this man, Jake Benham, now with the fresher tyres, what can he do? Could he still have a say? Could the All-Star still manage to make his way onto a podium? All sorts of ifs and buts and maybes that we are going to see in the final 6 laps of this race. There goes Hoffland to the inside of Daniel Shelson. Bit more VRS. Should be a fairly straightforward move on the brakes. And that is the Aston Martin into 4th place. And given Luke Smith's penalty, that is the Aston Martin into a provisional podium position as Thomas Ronhart sets the fastest lap of the race on those medium tyres. You'd expect Harvey Cohen, though, his first lap on the soft tyres, you'd expect him maybe to just be able to go that little bit quicker. And Jake Benham has now got himself within DRS range of this battle. So all of a sudden, got a 2-car battle for the lead of this race and a 4-car battle for third position. With 5.5 laps remaining, is Pedreño close enough to the back of Alvaro Carreton? Both pitted later. Both have got absolutely no worries when it comes to their tyre wear. Both are going to give it as good as they get, I am sure, but not on this occasion. Pedreño not able to get close enough. They're identical, effectively, on their ERS, so that is not going to play effect. We'll just wait and see what happens later on, as there goes Manuel Biancalila to take 7th place. Dillon and Liam Parnell should surely be able to follow through. Those tyres are going to be absolutely destroyed as Biancalila makes up his own race circuit. Yeah, interesting indeed. And great to see Liam Parnell up there again. Didn't score many points last season. Got an 8th place last time out at Brazil. Looks like he's going to get at least 8th place here. Will Lewis is going to try and hold it off all the way around the outside, which is a brave thing to do when you're on fresh tyres. It's an even braver thing to do when you're on 22-lap old hard tyres. And fair play to Will Lewis. He has been able to hold on, but I think just tries to dummy Liam Parnell. I think he's just delaying the inevitable here. And I'm very surprised he's actually got anything left on those tyres. As there goes Jake Benham up in towards 5th place. Jake Benham takes 5th place from Daniel Shelson as his teammate finally, well, I say finally, gets overtaken by Liam Parnell. Will Lewis is still trying to fight on here. They've been side by side for half a lap at the moment, and somehow 23-lap old hard tyres have beaten 9-lap old medium tyres. They've lost themselves 3 seconds to Manuel Biancalila, and they're allowing Dylan Warren, Harvey Cohen and the rest to catch up. But they're having fun at the moment. And after all, is that not the most important thing about racing? That you enjoy it at the end of the day. And there goes Liam Parnell. Gets the move done. I get a funny feeling Will Lewis has allowed Liam Parnell to have the DRS there. So we'll see if there's going to be anything else coming of that. He's got absolutely no traction whatsoever on the way out of turn number 11, but he's got plenty of DRS at the moment and might just be able to get this car stopped in time on the run in towards the hairpin. There goes Will Lewis. He takes the place. And also Harvey Cohen in the background, still trying to have his own little battle with Dylan Warren on his soft tyres. This is very interesting indeed at the moment. That Will Lewis is, carrying on as long as he wants. I think he's also another driver that did the 24 hours of Daytona, so isn't taking this too seriously as Buell Pepper now picks up 9 seconds of time penalties. I mean, fair play to him and Modesto Maynard for carrying on, but they are not having a good race after their own issues earlier on. There's Dylan Warren. Can he get alongside? No, he can't, as that is Liam Parnell into the pits. Liam Parnell comes into the pits, 5-second time penalty. And of course, after saying it'll be good to see him get some points, Liam Parnell retires in the pits. Can only imagine, as I think Thomas Wanhar's car just teleported to Mexico and back, can only imagine that he managed to pick up some penalty in all, well, some damage in all of that moves. So there goes Dylan Warren into 8th. There goes Harvey Cohen into 9th. There goes Thomas Wanhar. Despite all the issues he's had at the moment, there goes Thomas Wanhar back into the points, but it looks like he's having a few leg issues at the moment and spiking all over the place. After doing, 24 hours and streaming earlier on, perhaps not too surprised to see him having his own little issues. Duncan Hoffman gets back ahead of Jake Benham in what is effectively a battle for the final podium place at the moment. Pedreño still staying close to the back of Alvaro Carreton with 3 and a bit laps to go, still not doing anything. Most cars in the field, apart from Bianca Leila, Brown, Lewis and Divard, and those further back, are in a battle for something at the moment, which is absolutely fantastic to see. Here comes Ronar and Cohen alongside Dylan Warren once again. It's never been a quiet evening, has it, for Warren since he's returned to league racing. Down the inside comes Harvey Cohen on the fresher tyres, not able to get it done. And are we going to see a bit more revenge between Ronar and Warren? This time Cohen's down the inside. This time Warren has to give up. And Ronhar, I don't think, could resist. Just letting Dylan Warren know where he was with that one. Cohen, Ronhar, Warren, 8th, 9th and 10th. The order between them at this moment in time. 3 laps to go. Carreton leads, Pedreño second. We're on board with the man who would provisionally take 3rd place, Duncan Hoffland. But Jake Benham, Daniel Shelson, and I'm sure if he can get a penalty removed, Luke Smith, are going to have plenty to say about that, as there's a yellow flag. That is Will Lewis around. And I'm willing to take a guess that one of his tyres on the rear has significantly less air in it than it did a couple of laps ago. That rear right not looking the best at the at this moment in time. Sparking along the... Oh, actually, no. Sorry, it's the front left tyre. See clearly, front left completely shredded on Will Lewis's car. He tried something different. It didn't work. And there goes Alvaro Carreton down to 2nd place. There goes Pedreño up the inside into the lead. So Pedreño makes his move. Lap number 26. The young Spaniard, the challenger, beating the esports driver for now. And Jake Benham also all over the back of Duncan Hoffland. This is going to be very interesting final few laps of the race. It looks like Shelson's tyres just started to become second best at the moment. And that might be why Jake Benham's starting to... look a bit more racier here. Do not write him off for his first podium of the season and possibly a chance to kickstart his championship battle. But on to the penultimate lap of this race. Pedreño leads Carreton in 2nd place. He's saving his ERS, but as is Pedreño. Pedreño still just with that tiny bit more. Who do you guys think is going to take the victory in this one? Because it has been a scintillating race so far. In about 3 minutes' time, working it out who's going to take the checkered flag in first. Is it going to be Ruben Pedreño claiming the victory? Is Alvaro Carreton going to go one better than last time out? Or is he going to have to settle for 2nd place once again? Because once again, Dylan Warren and Thomas Ronhar are having their own little shenanigans. And I'm very surprised this hasn't ended in a much bigger accident than it has looked like doing so on many occasions. Carreton's not close enough to Smith at the moment to go for a move. Jake Benham not close enough to Duncan Hoffland as well, who, if he's smart here, might be worth Duncan Hoffland just sticking behind Luke Smith and making sure he's got the DRS, because that could put him in a really good place, because that will help him defend possibly from Jake Benham, and that's who he's most concerned about, because at the moment Smith would drop to 6th behind Daniel Shelson, although if he can get a bit of a move on this final lap, Shelson could also find himself dropping back. Warren and Ronhar, yeah, I think we've seen enough of those for the day, having their own little battle. And Harvey Cohen, 8th place with his different strategy. So here we go. Final lap of the race. Ruben Pedreño in the lead. Alvaro Cavaton in second place. Cavaton burning up more of his battery, trying to get close enough into turn one as Dylan Warren's around. He drops outside the points. Yeah, this is very interesting indeed to see what is now going to happen, because Cavaton's gone early on his ERS. He's tried something different. He's trying to get close enough to Pedreño to make sure he can have a move, as there goes Modesto Mena, I think, doing the smart thing, getting well out of the way of this battle. Great to see that awareness from him. He does not want to be ruined in a battle between his two compatriots. Which one of them will end up coming out on top? Who's going to get the final podium place on track and after penalties as well? Because Hoffland and Benham are still all over the back of Luke Smith. Is Ruben Pedreño going to be able to take this victory? Has he got enough in his battery to defend from Alvaro Cavaton? Is Alvaro Cavaton close enough to go for the move here in towards turn number 12? It doesn't look like he is on this occasion. It looks like he is just going to come up short as Jake Benham sent one down the inside into turn 11 and it didn't work out. And there goes Duncan Hoffland sending one down the inside into turn 12, but he's still got Luke Smith alongside him, who's now having to battle with Jake Benham. So it looks like we might just be all sorted with the different places here, as still Benham tries to fight his way past Luke Smith on the better tyres. They nearly make contact side by side between Benham and Smith. Which one of them is going to come out on top? For now, it is just going to be Luke Smith. But it is Ruben Pedreño who rounds the final corner to take the victory here in Kota. Pedreño wins, Cavaton in second place, Hoffland third. Smith holds it from Benham on the line, but penalties means it is Benham and Shelton who round out the top five. Luke Smith in sixth place. A very lonely race for Manuel Biancalila. He comes home in seventh. Harvey Cohen eighth. Thomas Ronha will cross the line in ninth place, and it will be Leroy Brown in 10th. So it is points for Ronha after starting in last place. Warren, Thivard, Feather and Lewis will be the final finishers. Modesto Mena was a lap down, but what a race, what a patient performance. It has to be said there. What a patient performance from Ruben Pedreño. Did everything he had to do. Did everything right. Got himself back within DRS range. And that is Pedreño who takes the victory here at Kota. Well, Lewis just driving around at the moment, I think, trying to see if he can set the fastest lap. Not really looking like he is going to be close enough to doing that. So fastest lap honours are going to go to Modesto Mena. Again, no points done for that. So not really going to affect anything. Pedreño, Cavaton, Hoffland, your top three. A great battle between Benham and Smith on that final lap, and I wonder if that little bit of battling has possibly cost Luke Smith a chance at fifth place. But it is Ruben Pedreño who takes the victory here at Kota. In-game driver of the day then goes to going to Thomas Ronha. I think there might be a few drivers who disagree with that one. I think Dylan Warren might have his own little say on that, with certainly some interesting battling between them, to say the least. Here are the drivers coming on to the podium. Second place last year. Not the best race first time around, this time around. But there we go. Ruben Pedreño takes the victory here. Fantastic performance from him. Alvaro Cavaton finishes in second place from pole position. Another fantastic job from Cavaton. Gives him the lead of the championship. Duncan Hoffland gets a podium in third place. Benham fourth. Shelton in fifth place. The rest of the points places then you can see on your screen there. Luke Smith, Manuel Biancalila, Harvey Cohen, Thomas Ronha and Leroy Brown rounding out the points places. We'll see. I think it's fair to say that there are going to be some very possible stewards' inquiries here. A few of the drivers not happy with some of the standards that they saw out there on the circuit. Dylan Warman finishing 11th. Thivard, Feather, Lewis and Mena were the final finishers. And on retirements, Liam Parnell, Tom Manley, Mirko Soriano, Drake Dempsey and Philip Fresnader. From what was, I think we can all agree to say, that was a very exciting race. Plenty of action all the way through the field. Hopefully we will be able to get our top few drivers with us for an interview. Let us know in the chat if there's anything you would like to ask them. any of our top 3 drivers in that one. A very interesting race. Apologies everyone for Dan's issues with the internet connection. Hopefully he'll be able to get that sorted for next time out, but he, whole flat has gone down, so nothing he could do about that one. And it looked at the start of the race that there was not a lot anyone would be able to do about Alvaro Cavaton as well. He was having an absolutely fantastic run at the front of the field in that one. Looked pretty dominant, but similar to last time out, the others were able to get a bit of a run on him later on. It looked after the first pit stop as though he'd managed to do enough, but they were able to do just enough and keep them behind. Just waiting to see if we are able to get any of our top drivers. I know last week we did have a couple of issues getting some of them into the interview room, but it looks like we have been able to get hold of at least one of them, and that is going to be our race winner. Congratulations, Ruben. Just an absolutely fantastic job from yourself tonight.
Yeah, it was a perfect race.
Right, but tell us about it from your point of view. Tell us about turn 1 first of all, because it looked like yourself, Harvey Cohen, and a few other cars were getting very close to making some contact there.
Yeah, I think I went 3 wide with Luke, Smith, and Harvey, but I don't know what happened. I noticed a bit of contact with Luke, but I don't know if someone spun or something.
And also, you managed to get yourself back within 1 second there of Alvaro Cavaton. Looked like you'd dropped back around the pit stop period. Were you tempted to go for the undercut at any point, or were you just doing your own race and not really paying too much attention to when Alvaro pitted?
No, I was looking to the group of Dylan and Thomas that were fighting really hard, and I didn't want to be in the middle of that group, so I just wanted to avoid that and go longer.
Yeah, you did a great job. And how are you feeling ahead of next week? Baku, it can always be a bit of an interesting race. Is it a track you enjoy, if anyone enjoys Baku?
Well, surprisingly, in the past few games, I've been really fast around there, so I hope it's the same this year.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see. Congratulations, though, on the victory, Ruben. Let you head off and celebrate.
Thank you. Bye.
And next up is the man who was going to get 3rd place because of penalties anyway, but decided might as well finish in 3rd place on track. That is Duncan Hoffland. Just tell us about that last lap battle between yourself, Luke Smith, and Jake Benham, because it looked on a few occasions that Jake was trying to move into turn 11, maybe just to try and surprise you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Luke. It was a really intense final lap, and I knew Jake had 3 lap fresher tires than me, so it was it was every time around 3.5 tenths. So yeah, and I wasn't sure if Lucas' penalty was valid because he was fighting the other cars as well pretty hard. But yeah, just tried to get past, and it was a fair battle, I would say. It was pretty clean, pretty good. And yeah, Jake was putting some pressure every time, but yeah, managed to stay out of him luckily.
Yeah, you did manage to stay ahead. Tell us about the start of the race, because obviously Alvaro blasted away, used all his ERS. You tried to stay within DRS range of him. Were you a bit worried at that point that you'd burnt your battery out and might start getting overtaken by a lot of those behind, or were you always confident you'd be able to regain things and get back into contention?
Well, I knew I just didn't have the pace today, so when I saw that Alvaro was using quite a lot of his battery, I knew it was very hard to stay with him, as I simply didn't have the race pace like what I want to have. So yeah, I tried to get in it, and the delta even said 0.996 over the line for the DRS, but still didn't get it. So that was unfortunate, but then at the end, yeah, just had to play the end game. And yeah, I mean, even though I didn't have the pace, still podium, so I think that's pretty nice.
Yeah, still a fantastic job for yourself. And as we mentioned to Ruben, Baku next week, is that a track you're feeling confident about?
Well, previous games I did, to be honest. I'm not sure about this game. I haven't driven around it yet, and of course there have been some changes, so I look forward to it, but we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll definitely find out indeed. But congratulations, Duncan, on the podium. We'll let you head off now.
Thanks, Luke.
Yeah, and that pretty much brings an end to this stream then. Thanks to Ruben and Duncan for joining us for the interviews. USA for us tonight, and as we've already mentioned, it is going to be Baku in a week's time, where hopefully the hamster running Dan's internet is changed and we're able to get ourselves back up to full running. If you want some more action though from Kota, make sure to check out the rest of the tiers that we have across the week. PC no assists tomorrow. We've got the Xbox assist tiers on Tuesday, console no assists Wednesday and Thursday, and the top tier of console on Friday, now blown wide open with Otis Lawrence moving over to the PC platform. Will we see Otis Lawrence making his debut next week at Azerbaijan? There's only one way to find out, and that is to join us, of course. Thanks so much again for Ruben and Duncan, sorry, for joining us. Thanks for Dan for joining me in the commentary box earlier. Again, apologies about the issue with the internet. Hopefully we will be able to get that sorted. And thanks so much for you guys for sticking with us for what was an absolutely fantastic, brilliantly entertaining race. We'll be back next week at Baku, but for now, take care of yourselves, everyone, and goodbye.